Welcome, newcomers and true believers alike. This is the Countdown to Doomsday, an MCU watch along podcast packed to the brim with thrills and chills, twists and turns, and more supervillains than you can shake a star spangled man with a plan at. I'm your host, Jake, and I'm joined, as always, by Nerdy Up North's First Avenger, my amazing co host, Sammy. Hello. That was a tongue
Hi,
twister.
that was something.
I can do this all day. That's not true. I'll get tired.
Oh, that's brilliant. Wow, we finally made it to Captain America.
Oh, I'm excited. It's a good one. It's one of my
It's
faves.
one of it's one of my faves, but there's another one with Captain America that is my fave, and we'll get to that soon as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Captain America, the first Avenger. I'll do the disclaimer so we
Go
can
for it.
kick this
So we
thing
can
off.
talk about Nazis.
I've got an explanation for that actually, we'll get into it in a bit. So everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on the Facebook page, the Discord, or even the comment section where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of a nerdism.
Excelsior.
Thank you.
You're good
So
at that
before
salute, by the way.
Thanks. It's a lot of practice from Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
Before we get into the nooks and cranny of the actual movie and all the interesting stuff that we've learned about it, I just want to go into the development side first.
Interesting.
Because we discussed on Thor's episode about how it was in the works for such a long time before
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is no different.
I
This
can
is
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, this comes about from 1997.
Okay.
So Marvel Studios were in negotiations to produce a Captain America movie. In That was in 97. In May 2000, Marvel teamed up with and I mentioned this on the first episode, the Astarian Entertainment, to help
Yes.
finance the film. However, a lawsuit came about between Marvel Comics and Joe Simon
Yes.
over the ownership of Captain America and the copyrights. So the dispute goes on. The lawsuits eventually settled in 2003. So it's a little bit different than Thor, because Thor was kind of like an idea that was passed around. Captain America is under, a lawsuit.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So Marvel, so the settlement happens in 2003, and following the settlement, Marvel prepared to license the film rights under Warner Brothers. And this is where the big loan comes in.
Yeah.
So when they were going to do it under Warner Brothers, somebody suggested, it was actually David Maysel, suggested that the company should produce the film themselves. And this is where the investment of 225 million comes from Merrill Lynch,
Big
which
money.
again harpers back to the original, our first episode, with how all this becomes.
Yes.
Um, where am I? So yes, Kevin Feige originally wanted this as a standalone movie.
Okay.
And Avi Arad at the time, who was a one above Kevin Feige until he then leaves, said the biggest opportunity with Captain America is a man out of time, coming back
Mhm.
today, looking at the world through the eyes of someone who thought the perfect world was a small town United States. 60 years go by, and who are we today? Are we better?
Mhm.
And that is the biggest question throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, the movie the movie goes through a few people as well as it went through the whole production side. Um, John Favreau was originally
Get him
approached
out of here.
to do it, and he said no, thank you. I'd rather go with the Iron Man.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of falls into a natural thing of this is part of the phases that Kevin Feige wants to produce, and there's no big other hoopla. They get Joe Johnston
Mhm.
to direct it. Um, if
Excellent
nobody
choice, by the way.
if
And
nobody knows who Joe Johnston is, he is the he is the director of Jurassic Park, The Rocketeer, Um, and Indiana Jones, The Young Chronicles.
And he worked on Raiders of the Lost Ark as well. So he's
Can
like,
you see
yeah.
where this film influence has come from?
And it's that is one of the most perfect choices I think they've ever made on like
Yeah.
getting someone to like elevate a character, like proper like shoot them to stardom, because like that's how
Mm-hmm.
you do it. You get
Yeah.
the guy who's friggin' touched like every like famous big Hollywood blockbuster. Like even like he had a hand on like Star Wars and stuff like that,
Yes, he
like
did. He
as
did.
visual effects and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that guy knows his stuff.
This guy has done it all. And when watching this the other day now, I read all about Joe Johnston before. I mean, I knew who he was, but I didn't know like the effect, like to
I
the,
hadn't seen his IMDb
yeah,
list. Like I
pretty
was like,
much
oh, hang on, it's everything.
everything. And when I was watching it back, I'm going, oh shit, I see the influence.
Mm.
This is Indiana Jones. The opening of this movie is something out of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, yeah. Also, it had like we're sort of getting slightly ahead, but I thought it had alien vibes as well, because
I
it
get
kind of looks like
that.
an alien ship that they go into. But it's very good. It's very good. A literal cold open.
Yeah. Um, just one more thing before we get into the movie, so I don't have to interrupt halfway and go, well, did you know? Alternative casting. Oh, I'm
Oh,
really
this is
loving
fun.
this. I'm really loving this side
Yeah,
of my note taking. So, Chris Evans was always number one.
yeah. I
Always.
can see that if he like answered the casting call, I can see how he would be like top of the list.
Yeah, he was number one guy. However, he rejected them three times.
Ooh,
And
spicy.
while they went through rejections, they went through auditions. They have to. This
Yeah,
project is going ahead with Evans or not.
yeah.
Um, so here's your alternative casting for Captain America: Steve Rogers, Sam Worthington,
Okay. I can sort of see it.
Will Smith
Again, for the time,
for the
he
time. Oh,
was he was
absolutely.
he was hot shit. Like he was a blockbuster star. Interesting you saying that, considering Tommy Lee Jones is in this movie.
Exactly, exactly. Now, they are the ones that were considered. These are the ones who auditioned.
Yeah.
So there's a few names I actually don't recognize. Jared Headland,
No, not really.
Channing Tatum. Not
Interesting.
then, not then. Possibly
No.
now, but not then. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't have had to see him in anything else at all.
I think like Magic Mike era, you might have worked, but yeah.
The less we say about that movie, the better. I lost hours, and I'm never getting it back. Scott Porter, I recognize the name, can't picture the face.
Yeah.
Mike Vogel, again, recognize the name, don't picture the face. Wilson Bethnal, don't
No.
recognize. John Krasinski,
Okay.
Jim himself.
Yeah. Was he buff at
Um,
this point, or would he have got buff if they told him
he
to?
probably would have gotten both.
Yeah.
However, he's he's either coming out the end of no, he's finished The Office completely. So yeah, he probably would have gotten buff for this because if he was in The Office, he couldn't have changed his appearance.
Not that massively, otherwise they would have had to write jokes about it.
Exactly. It's not like well, they did it with Chris Pratt when
Yeah.
because he was in Parks and Rec and he buffed up for Guardians of the Galaxy, and they made a
Yeah.
huge thing about the fact that Andy kind of
Oh, I haven't
got
seen those
fit.
episodes. I've been wanting to rewatch that. Maybe I'll watch it when we get to like Guardians.
Yeah. Um, Chad Michael Murray.
Okay.
Um,
You are like I'm seeing a theme
it's
here of just like generic white guy.
yeah, yeah. Michael Cassidy, don't know the name. Chase Crawford, don't know. Derek Thiel, Thiel, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. And Jensen Ackles.
That one's interesting. That's in didn't he does play like in The Boys. That's him, right? Who plays
Yeah,
the fake
Soldier
Captain
Boy.
America.
He's Soldier
Yeah.
Boy.
So that's fun how that's a full circle, because I didn't know
Yeah,
that connection. I just thought they were doing a a cheeky
So
sort of.
so Sam Worthington and Will Smith are the first round. That's when Chris
Yeah.
Evans initially says no. Second round, when he says no, is these ones. Third one is Callan Lutz, Ryan Phillippe.
I'm not recognizing any of these now.
Ryan Phillippe is the guy from Cruel Intentions. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I'm googling him.
Can't think
Oh
of
yeah,
anything.
he's
Yeah,
got a child's face.
well, Chad Michael Murray has such a child's face. Like, if that's what they were going for. Um, Alexander Skarsgård. Now we know that
Ooh,
Alexander
handsome.
Skarsgård auditioned for Thor as well.
Oh, the poor bugger, man. He's just been trying to get a handsome man role.
Hey, he did it. He got it in True Blood. He's good. However, Robert Downey Jr. makes a phone call to Chris Evans
He gets
and
his
says
dossier out.
what are you worried about? And Chris
Yeah,
Evans says, I am being typecast as another superhero. I
yeah,
don't think the
true.
fans are gonna like it. And I don't think I'm gonna do this any justice. And he was like, do you want to do it? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, then fucking do it.
Do you want to hang out with me and the boys on the set
Exactly.
of
So
Avengers? Come on.
thanks to RDJ, we have Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan actually auditioned for Captain
Hmm.
America,
Main role.
but he was a consideration too,
Hmm.
but he got the role of Bucky on the back of his audition. The most interesting one out of the second round of people, and I've left him to last because this blew
Triple
my
H again, is
mind.
it?
Imagine. Imagine.
Hail Hydra.
He'd be joining them. He'd be doing that's Captain America storyline.
Yeah, immediately.
There was another person who auditioned for Captain America who has gone on to join the MCU,
Ooh.
as another Captain America.
Oh, okay.
Wyatt Russell
Yeah.
auditioned originally for this role, and then later gets his John Walker character in
Hmm.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Have you seen Step Brothers, by the way?
Yeah.
You know when the guy's just like, you got to change your face, man. That's how I feel about Wyatt Russell. He's just, I don't know, there's something.
I I love him because of where he comes from. Like, he comes from Hollywood royalty, but I didn't fully appreciate him as John Walker. But when I watched the Godzilla
Yeah.
show, holy shit, that guy's good. Like,
Okay.
he's
Yeah, I
so
mean,
good.
US Agent is supposed to be a massive knobhead. So like he does play it accurately.
And Wyatt's doing a good job at that.
He's he's too good at being hateable.
Yeah,
But yeah, maybe I'll change my opinion when he comes back and stuff in
he is
Thunderbolts.
hoping. To the part of Peggy Carter, who thank Christ it went to the lady it went to, Hayley Atwell, because I love the woman.
Hmm.
Alice Eve, Gemma Atherton. Arterton, sorry, is very much similar looking to Hayley Atwell.
I'm gonna Google again.
So I could have quite seen that being like Gemma
Yes.
Arterton actually doing the role.
Yeah, same sort of face shape,
Yep.
which is a weird thing
Kieran
to say.
Knightley.
Of course, it was 2011. First
Emily
off, couldn't
Blunt.
have been. Blunt might have been an interesting one.
I'm
I feel
still
like
I'm
I feel
still
like
holding out.
like some of these are a bit like
On the nose?
no, like the kind of because Chris Evans wasn't really a household name to my household at the time. Um, and I feel like you can't overshadow like the main character, like
No.
with like a a superstar of Hollywood. So they were flying close to the sun on those kind of choices, I feel like.
There was also a couple of other names that the studio wanted. So
Mhm.
this is the guys they wanted, not the ones that were actually auditioned
Yeah,
or anything. Matthew McConaughey,
as
Josh
Cap.
Brolin. Yeah, this is a cap. Josh Brolin,
He's too military looking. Scary.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
He could have played him before he went in the machine.
Or as Dan calls him, Sprout Face. And the last one was Brad Pitt. Can you see where the studio is going
Yeah.
with that kind of casting?
Pitt looks alone. I'd buy
Mm.
it, but I don't think his acting style would translate well. You know what I mean?
Get this, McConaughey turned it down for Dark Tower. I bet he wish he didn't bother.
Whoa. Like all the way back then, they were trying to do Dark Tower. Because didn't,
Actually, oh, I'm sorry. He McConaughey was asked to do Captain America.
yeah,
He was actually approached to play Doctor Strange,
right. Okay.
and
He
that's
turned
who he
that
turned
down.
down to do Dark Tower. Again, bet he wish he didn't bother.
Yeah. Like based on his other roles I've seen, he doesn't fit Strange, but I know he's a good actor, so I'm sure he could turn it on if he had
They
to.
also wanted him for Igor the Living Planet. I have a feeling Marvel Studio really wants McConaughey. McConaughey, after Dallas Buyers Club,
Uh-huh.
changes the game in his acting ability.
I wonder like
Um,
what, because they'll probably keep on throwing his name around,
yeah,
but he could do something. I mean, now
yeah.
that he's like, that's the thing, like, people are always like wondering like, oh, who's the next hero, but they always forget like we need, the older actors as well in these movies. We need
hmm
like multiple different characters.
Sometimes you do need a name to carry a
Yeah,
film. And
absolutely.
if that name is Matthew McConaughey, I'm more than happy. Like I say, Dallas Buyers Club changed the game. He was no longer considered as the rom-com lead that he has
Hmm.
played for God knows how many years. The fucker can act.
Watch True Detective and tell me he's not mesmerizing every second he's on screen.
Honestly, even Dark Tower, like as much as
Yeah,
I
he's probably the
really
best part.
him and Idris Elba were perfect. It's just the
Yeah.
plot and story.
Yeah. I don't particularly like the book either. I tried my best,
Yeah,
but
I know I'm on this Stephen King run at the moment, but it ain't what I am gonna ever jump into.
you're gonna dance around the Dark Tower for a while.
For the rest of
There's
my
like nine
life.
books or something. It's gonna take a
And
long
then there'll be 9 unread books.
time. I should say I
um,
tried the audio book in case anyone calls me a liar for saying I don't read.
I know you read.
I don't read good.
I don't...
That's why I like comics.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what the actual reason is why I prefer comics, because I get a bit bored in books when they describe the scenery.
I get that.
But I really like conversations.
That's probably what really got me when I've tried to read Stephen King in the past, because
Yeah.
I'm used to a 32-page book of pictures and
Hmm.
something visually to help me along the way, and then I jump into the likes of Stephen King, who describes the back end of a fart,
Hmm.
and it's like, oh dude, I could have had one panel to explain all of this.
Yeah. A
I
nice
get
drawing of a
that.
house.
Yeah, I totally get that. Shall we get into the movie
Hmm.
itself?
Can I
Um,
can we talk about
yeah.
like where we did
Oh,
you watch
sure.
this on DVD? Were you saying
Gonna have to say yes. I'm still not Marvel Sam yet.
Marvel
In
pilled?
Yeah, I'm getting there though. We're in 2011.
Yeah.
So I'm getting close.
Do you know what era of cinema this was?
Hmm.
The era of 3D.
God, I remember my
you could
father-in-law getting the 3D telly.
you could not, it was very hard to see this movie in two dimensions. I tried, I had to go see it in 3D. That part in the montage where he throws his like shield into the screen is just a total like 3D movie. Like
I'm not
money
gonna be able
shot.
to look at this again the same way. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
thinking like, whoa, that should have been coming at us.
But I do remember that it started to die off 1 year later for Avengers. There was lots of Avengers 3D, but I did manage to find enough 2D Avengers so that I could go and sit and enjoy the movie.
I do remember this time well because my father-in-law bought a 3D telly and
Yeah,
glasses, and I
went
think
all in.
I really think it literally died out within the first 6 months
Aye.
of him getting it.
It's
I'm just
okay, but it was like fatiguing on the eyes, and I just didn't want anything on my face in the cinema. I just wanted to relax.
I'm not very good with motion, and
No,
it makes me feel sick. Like
the
Doctor
the
Strange was an assault on my eyes. So I
Yeah,
can't imagine watching. So I think I went to see Force Awakens in 3D, and
that
that was an
doesn't seem like it'd be
experience.
worth it.
That's
The only 3D
insane.
thing I'll list off the 3D things I've enjoyed in my life. Number
Mm.
one, the Super Mario Brothers the movie poster I had that came with 3D glasses and the
Whoa.
style of dinosaur skin.
I like that.
Um, that's number one. Number two, the 3DS was okay for Zelda Ocarina of Time. That's
My
about it.
brother's got one of them. Yeah.
But yeah, 3D. What a wild time to be watching CGI movies.
This just doesn't feel like it was made like this doesn't need gimmicks or
No,
that kind of attention on it. It's perfect on its
you just
own.
had to do it. I wonder if that affects, like when they're sort of converting this to 4K. Do you think they're like looking on the hard drives and
Mm.
like, oh no, don't touch that one. That's the 3D render. like no,
Delete.
no, you want this high def one. Um,
Oh God.
yeah, so like this was definitely like a sort of weird time for the cinema. There was
Mm.
a lot of bad CGI stuff at the time. But having come straight off Thor, I was definitely excited for this because I was like, hell yeah, Captain America. But I don't think I knew much about the character before this, other than seeing him in the Spider-Man cartoon for a little bit, or the X-Men one. I can't remember which one he was in more.
I,
Um,
I feel like I knew him, knew his name, but
yeah,
I didn't know him. I
yeah,
didn't get to know Steve Rogers until probably Winter Soldier. I think that was
okay.
the game. I think that was the game changer.
That's sort of let you let yourself into the comic world
Am I
for
in the
Steve.
comic? I am definitely. I am a year into my
Yeah,
comic. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think.
Renaissance,
Yeah, let's go with
awakening.
that. Awakening. Yes, that's a really good word. I am like a
But
year into when
he's one
that
of
comes
those
out.
characters that's a bit um like intimidating because he's from like friggin' 1939. So you're like, what would I buy? Like before this movie comes out, like you'd be like, oh, I've got no idea where to start on Steve. Steve, he's like Superman. Like, where the hell do you
Well,
what do you do?
he is Timely Comics' answer to
Yeah.
Superman. So he was
So
created
is
by
that
Jack.
why the lawsuit happened? Because of the Timely Comics
No,
copyright and stuff like that?
no,
It wasn't, no?
because no, Steve was actually created by Jack Kirby and Joe Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back in, I actually have this written down somewhere. Yeah, back in 1940, 1940. Oh, I've actually got a section on Skinny Steve Rogers.
Yeah. I definitely wrote that down.
Yeah, I have a whole section on Skinny Steve Rogers. I wrote all this down of the see, this is why I need to highlight things so I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, Joe Simon, yeah, Joe, it was definitely Joe Simon, and it was when was it? It was
I've
19.
seen
Yeah,
39 thrown around for like, Namor, Human Torch, and Steve Rogers stuff.
that might make
But
a
it
lot of
didn't, but it
sense.
was like, it wasn't called, Captain America until a bit later. So
I
maybe that
know
was like the 40 odd. Obviously, he was like a wartime guy. So it would have had to have been like
it was
40.
actually 1941.
Okay.
He was 1941. He was the counter argument for DC's Superman
Yeah.
through Timely Comics. This is one of the first Avengers that we get to see that is not directly created by Stan Lee.
Mhm.
However, Stan Lee's first ever comic book that he ever wrote was Captain America.
Oh, that's interesting. Also, yeah, I I found out the alternate name that was
Oh,
almost
right,
Captain
okay.
America. Joe Simon apparently like toyed around with the idea of called him the Super American. I don't think that would have gone down as well, like in
I,
today's
I
world.
think he would, yeah, I think that name would have changed through time. Possibly like would have
Sounds like
lost
a
the whole,
bad guy, if I'm honest.
yeah. Yeah, he does. I don't like that. And it's probably because I mean, if that were to have happened, we would never have known the difference and probably having a very different
No,
conversation about a
but I
very
feel
different
like he would have.
character.
I feel like he would have turned into like how like the Punisher has morphed into more of a like a crazy man over time and stuff. Like I feel like it would have been like the super American, like I'm gonna
It's
make
just
America great again.
yeah. Blah.
Yeah,
Or if he's a proper dude. Like,
yeah,
yo,
that's what I'm
I
envisioning.
can't do my dude voice. I'm too tired.
um,
um,
so yeah, like we're talking like comic royalty here.
massively.
But a guy that stood the test of time, like he's been around a lot of eras. He did have a bit of a down period just in the sort of like 60s 70s, but I think that was like the entire comic superhero comics were a bit like dodgy ground
Well,
at that point.
the comic code comes out,
Yeah,
and I would have to know my, and I do, but I would probably have to have more information in front of us to be able to say this indefinite. But
yeah,
the comic code comes out, and it totally changes how comics are created. Um, it's it's actually a really sad time in comic books actually because
oh
there
yeah,
is um I bang on constantly about a certain documentary that changed my, I don't want to sound so dramatic, but it did, it changed my life. It's a documentary called She Makes Comics.
yes,
Um and it was sent to us at a time where I was just starting out writing for one of the American websites I worked for at the time. And it's when I had my encounter in Newcastle with a bunch of nerd people
yeah.
who had some choice words for me. And I went to my internet friends at the time and told them my experience, and they're like, you know, fucking. Da, da, da. And one of them actually reached out and sent us a message and said, listen, I know you're probably feeling a bit shit right now, but I need you to watch this documentary. It's just come out. It's $6, which means it was like £4.
Yeah, back
Um,
then.
yeah. Um, I need you to watch it. I need you to understand where these women who were before you have come from and how they've got here. And it covers all grounds. It covers fandoms, it covers cosplay, it covers writing, drawing, illustrating, penciling. Like I have been introduced to some of the most amazing women through this
Mhm.
documentary and ones that worked in Marvel as well. The point I was making about bringing that up was the when the code came out, women were doing comics independently,
Yeah.
and they got basically shunted into houses where they were being monitored. They were on the verge of like losing their house, losing their kids, you know, losing their actual day jobs, all because they wanted to create independent comics that were that were aimed for women in
Yeah.
the 60s, and it didn't go down too well. That was a
Yeah.
long-winded story to talk about the comic code and like the
No,
effects that it had on people.
it's definitely had a massive impact because like on its face value it could be a good thing, like monitor children's entertainment, make sure it's not, giving out bad messages and stuff like that, but they were like, going like the other way with it, where it was actually being used to like
It was
quash
dangerous.
creativity and stuff like that.
It was really
um
dangerous, and I believe Steve Rogers might have come out of this unscathed. Um,
I think like the thing I was getting at is that he's just a bit cheesy, and I think the
yes,
comic fans just kind of like were like, kind of sick of this guy.
he's too
Kind of
goody
like,
good. He's too goody two
yeah,
shoes.
kind of like Silver Age Batman, where it's like people got sick of him for being a bit silly, and then when they brought in
Yeah.
like the dark, the Dark Knight stuff in like the 80s and 90s, people were like, wow, this is what we've always wanted. But you can't
Yeah.
really do that with Steve as much.
I've seen Steve in some barren wastelands before, but he will
Oh,
always his
I just
heart
mean
is,
like his attitude though, like
but
he has
yeah,
to be, he's
his heart's
good.
always in the right place. When and I know I'm jumping into the film, but when Stanley Tucci's character kind of like tells him to always be the man that
Yeah,
he is, that's Steve to the core.
yeah,
Like he,
unwavering. Well,
uh,
yeah, he
yeah,
tries.
complete.
He definitely has some moments where he's questioning things, but he still like stays good,
But,
and that's what
but
I like
these,
about him, because I think some people, they want like the moral gray hero, whereas I'm like, no, I want someone to aspire to in my heroes. Where I'm
I
like,
want to be, yeah. And when I started reading Steve Rogers, this was at a time where I needed some inspiration
mhm,
and some kind of hope,
yeah,
and he really did. Like I could get the dark and gritty from Batman. I
yeah,
can get the strength from Captain Marvel, but when it comes down to the inspiring, the I'm going to use the word again, but the hope side of
mhm,
life, you get it from Steve Rogers.
Yeah, and I think some people don't like that because it's very like infallible and stuff. But that's the thing. You just gotta look a bit deeper. Like he is fallible. Like he makes mistakes.
He's not
Things. He
perfect.
has tragedies that happen to him. But I think like people don't like the way some of these characters just kind of like plow on through. And like there's got to be characters for everyone. Like you can't just have every superhero be the same.
No.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to
Peop-
do team ups because it's like that's the great thing about a team up, all the different personalities clashing and stuff
And
like
that's
that.
it. Like Cap works really well in the team. He's
Yeah,
in the MCU, he's never not with a team.
he's respected as well by
Uh-huh.
pretty much
You
everyone.
you're always going to need that moral compass.
Yeah,
And he is that. There's certain aspects of, especially when you get into the Civil War side of things, that you may not agree on. I never did not have Cap's back when it came down to Civil War.
yeah, I'm the same. And that's obviously because of the comic ending. It's a very sad story for Cap in the end. But yeah, he goes through a proper massive arc in that book. I think we've mentioned it before, but when he when he meets Punisher and like Punisher's
I
like,
was just thinking of that.
I love you, Steve, and he's just like, don't talk to me like, sir, you're a murderer.
Yeah,
like yes, we were both in the army, but like that's as far as the similarities go, and he just sort of
yeah,
like tells him off.
because there's a
And
whole few
Punisher accepts
panels.
it because he
He
respects him.
does. He puts it like there's a whole few panels of him like waxing lyrically to Cap about
Mhm.
how they are so alike and how much he appreciates him and he'll follow him to the ends of the earth. And Cap's like, I could care fucking less
Yeah,
if that's
you're a
what you
bad
want to
man,
do. You're a
Castle.
bad person. Yeah, Frank just hangs his head in shame.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop Frank from being Frank.
No, no, but that's the fun thing. Like he's respected even by the weird, like
Mm.
like side characters and stuff. Even a lot of the enemies respect him. Like when it comes down to it. But they still always try and go for him, even though he's the perfect man.
He's the perfect specimen. Um,
So yeah,
this
should we get into the movie
Yeah,
breakdown?
yeah. Well, this film takes place 70 years before Avengers assembles.
It does.
So
It
chronologically, this is one.
yeah, it is. There's a silly thing you can watch on Disney Plus where it's like, oh, do you want to watch it in timeline order? Like, here you go, Captain America, then you watch
Like,
Captain Marvel, then you watch Iron Man, and I'm just
like
like,
don't confuse me with this timeline. I am just getting used to the timeline that
yeah,
originally was set out in front of us, and I have the timeline up of in order.
yeah,
So the next one on the list is Avengers,
yeah.
not the other way around.
Because there's a teaser trailer for it at the end of this
Oh
movie
my
if
God,
you wait after the credits.
I got a shock. I was like, what's this?
It's weird, isn't it?
It's
Um,
really strange.
but yeah, so as you alluded to, the movie starts in
Mm.
current day. We get our like ice explorers cutting into like a spooky ship, like I was saying, alien vibes at times, or like
I
raiders.
I got the Thing or
Yeah,
the X-Files episode where they're in the Antarctic and
anytime there's those blinky lights that help you find your way in the snow, I'm like, oh, something
something
bad's gonna
spooky's going
happen.
on here.
And yeah, you get the nice shot where he brushes the stuff away for the shield, and you're like,
Sorry, my door is just bust up.
I'm assuming it's a cat.
I want to hope it
If
is.
it's a podcast ghost, go away. We're busy. uh,
It's a cat. Right.
yay. Safe. Marked
Oh
safe
God.
from ghosts.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of went a bit like warm there. I was like, what is? I've never known these two to like bust a door open like that.
That's the Red Skull.
Oh God. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the in the Antarctic they find it was a pod, yeah.
I thought it's a bit. It's kind of hard to see. I thought it was just like the seat that he was like sat next to. But yeah, maybe he did crawl inside something, but you don't see any face at this point.
No, no, you
And then we're
don't.
about to flash all the way back to friggin' a Norwegian church, library, castle.
With the guy who played Walder Frey in Game of Thrones.
And
That was him,
Filch.
right?
Yeah, it's Phil Chai.
I was like, wow, okay. I either I forgot that or
Yeah, they just stuck a beard on him to
that is
disguise
such a
him.
waste. Honestly, I hope to God like people can ignore the fact that because that's a waste of a character right there. That's a waste of a character
Oh,
actor.
I know. Yeah. So yeah, that we'll get like the Nazis busting in to be like, do it. It's like I wrote down like magical Nazi Hellboy shit.
I actually had a notepad in front of us, and my words were opening feels very much like Indiana Jones. I wonder why.
Yeah.
And this is where the Tesseract
Yes.
is first either said because it's not. I'm gonna put my book down before I feel like I'm gonna throw it at my monitor. Um, it's not said in Thor because we had that conversation on the
Yeah.
last episode.
And they don't name it here, I don't think. He's just like, the
No,
jewel, the Odin's crown jewel and all that stuff.
I actually wrote down what he said. It does say Tesseract. He did say the word Tesseract,
Oh,
because he
okay.
said Tesseract. It was the jewel in Odin's treasure room.
Right. Okay. So yeah, sorry, I didn't pick up on that, but it's because to be honest with you, when I'd watched this movie years gone, I didn't really pick up on the
No.
direct Thor references where like this is the place where that frost giant battle took place that we
Mm-hmm.
saw the little mini flashback of. And in the kids book that he shows her when he's like, this is kids stories,
Yeah.
um the little thing is Odin carrying the cube on the little rainbow, like as if he's like gonna hand it to the humans.
And
And
then he
yeah,
goes, nah.
yeah, so then he but Phil tries his best. He
Hmm.
hands him like a fake cube and he's like, ah. And then he's like, no, you'll probably hide it somewhere cooler, like the bottom of the world tree. Did you notice it has the serpent on as
It
well,
did.
like the little box?
Yeah.
What's he called? Jormungandr?
Yeah.
Something like that. Jormungandr. um,
I don't know.
but yeah, it's interesting. Also, like, did you notice there's a direct Indiana Jones reference here where he's like Hitler's and out there digging in the desert, like in
Yes.
Raiders.
Yes.
That's really cool, I
Yeah.
thought.
I just the minute it was the aesthetic of it all
Yeah.
and the room, and I was like, yeah, we're in Indiana Jones territory here. How have I never seen this? But how have I never not noticed this before?
Yeah. I think
Because
because
it's blatantly obvious.
I think when I was a kid, Indiana Jones was like temples and stuff in my mind, and less like Nazis, you know?
Actually, I kind of understand that because Last Crusade is my favorite Indiana Jones movie, so I never
Yeah,
really watched Temple of Doom or Raiders,
yeah.
until I had to for
Yeah,
Nerdy Up North.
I think when you're a kid, you don't really understand the whole like the political imagery of like hitting a Nazi. Like,
No.
I was like, oh, I'm just here for the puzzle rooms and the scary like death traps and stuff.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, the outfits, the suits, some
Oh,
smart ass
there's a
suits.
lot of squeaky leather noises when Red Skull's walking around. We hadn't mentioned Hugo Weaving as well. Apparently he had a blast playing this character, which
Yeah,
normally the big time actors sort of like, it was horrible being in the makeup, like that kind of thing.
yeah,
But he had fun apparently.
he had a lot of fun doing it, but when it came down to bringing him back
Yeah,
for Infinity War, he kind of went, I am at an age where I can't sit in that makeup for that amount
yeah,
of
just
time
CGI.
anymore.
It was CGI,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
It was Ross McConnell. I can't pronounce his surname. He was in The Walking Dead. He's an amazing, terrific voice actor.
Oh,
And
I thought he did
Ross
come back,
McCard.
so he didn't even come back.
No, no, that's Russ McCard. That's
Oh,
his. That's
gotcha.
sorry. This door's in my head, and I don't like
It's all
that. It's
right.
like way open.
Yeah,
Yeah, Russ
it's
McCard. That's it. He played Red Skull in Infinity War and did the
yeah,
voice as well because like I say, he's an incredible voice actor as much as he is
yeah.
a physical actor.
Yeah, and like I don't really like obviously at the time we thought he was gonna come back, and I think he was uh almost signed onto a three picture deal. But I think they just went in a different direction.
They
But
had to.
yeah,
You, it becomes a bit too cartoonish and gimmicky if you bring the
yeah,
Red Skull back constantly.
To the modern day world.
Yeah, it wouldn't have transpired the way that they probably intended for it to be set out.
Yeah,
But honestly, with Ross, if I didn't know, I would have thought that was Hugo Weaving.
I literally did. I was today years old when I found that. It's a yeah, but I really like Hugo Weaving because you can tell he's having fun. But you can also tell he's trying hard to like do his accent. Like it sounds a little
Oh,
bit Arnold Schwarzenegger at times, but
it
he's still
works.
trying. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, Stanley Tucci only took this role
Yeah.
so he could do a German accent.
Yeah, it must be fun for people.
Of
It's a
course it is,
classic.
because in some ways it can be really frowned upon depending on what film you're actually doing. So
It's one of them weird things where it's like I feel like the accents, like certain accents get a free pass, and I feel like French and German seem to be ones that nobody minds and
but
people do a silly one of.
the thing is, though, when it comes to an actor getting to play one of the most hated
Mm-hmm.
real life, real like characters,
Yeah.
must have a shred of like fun to it.
Oh
You're
yeah. And
never gonna be that person in real life.
you could tell he loved being Agent Smith as well. You could see it in his face like half
Did
the
you
time.
did you notice the name?
Oh, yeah, that's a funny because that is the real characters, one of their names.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's fun how that's like,
It's how it's like married up with each other. So
yeah,
his real name, sorry, the Red Skull's name is Johann Schmidt.
yeah,
Johann Schmidt, which in German is John Smith.
yeah. It's funny for the Agent Smith connection, but I
Yep.
also like that he has like the most sort of basic name, but he thinks he's like, but he's
Grand.
very like I am like a god, like
Yeah.
incarnate. I just found that
But
funny that he
really,
has a
he's
boring
John
name.
Smith.
Yeah. It's one of those like cosmic jokes on him, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Um I'll get into there's little bits and pieces I noticed on Red Skull this time around that really, really impressed us. But
Mhm.
we'll get to that when we get further into the film.
Oh well,
Because
you can actually see some of his like
see,
neck studs at this
that's
point as
it.
well.
That was it. I
Yeah,
never noticed that. And I never noticed at the beginning. It was only when he's in his lab and they're putting the Tesseract into
yeah,
motion with whatever device that it is they've got. And he's going, I didn't come here to, you know, piss around. I want to get
yeah,
this. I want to go to full power. And I saw the Frankenstein marks down the
yeah.
side of his neck. And I was like, that is such an amazing, like, just a tiny little detail. Because we don't know at that point that he is the
No,
Red Skull.
because and you know like big time comic fans like they obviously know who it is because
Yeah.
he's like in the poster. But I think the original Red Skull did not have a Red Skull. You know, like, he got
Mm.
like destroyed in some kind of accident at some point. So even the big fans might be thinking like, oh well, so he's gonna have an accident at some point. And it's like, no, he's just doing the whole like weird like dead skin mask thing with his face. Um,
That face, the nose, it's the nose. Like
yeah,
Voldemort, his
yeah,
nose goes all the way up, which is fine, but his is like
it's just gone. Like,
it's the bridge. So your
yeah,
nose is kind of like if you took this part away, there's nothing there. It's
yeah.
just the bridge here. Now, I had an operation in 2016 on the bridge of my nose,
Mm.
where it's been taken up higher, and it makes us feel funny
Yeah,
thinking
it's
about
skeevy.
it.
No, it
Ah.
is like, but I think that's kind of what separates him from a lot of Marvel villains. Like he's gross to look at. Like
But
most
well,
Marvel villains are kind of sexy in their own way.
he's got beautiful cheekbones.
Oh yeah, you
His
know, if he
cheeks are
wasn't, if he hadn't lost his nose,
you
he might be a bit more
you
handsy.
could cut a diamond on them. They were beautiful cheekbones. Even though I know he's kind of like almost a skeleton face, but
Yeah,
still. And the red color that they used for the skull that's a beautiful red.
I love the like. I know this might sound silly, come from the Mr. Colorblind, but I
Yes.
love the color palette in this movie. It's very like it uses it really well. It drops to like you know, it kills the color when it needs to, it brings it up when it needs to. It's awesome.
No, you're absolutely right. The expo the brightness of all that.
Mm-hmm.
And also Cap, when he's in the show with all the soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
he's the only beautiful, like, bright thing there, and the rest it's gray, it's dull, it's, you know,
Yeah.
it's the environment it's meant to be. The color palette in this is
It matches the
beautiful.
mood, which is very nice
Yes.
because I feel like people have forgot that in filmmaking recently.
Yeah.
Certain, like films.
It matters. Like it really,
Yeah.
the colors, the aesthetic of it all, and the attention to detail, and the streets that they use to do the, you know, the running down the street, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, the kids on the street, and the comic book there. They are some beautiful set. That looks like something directly out of Universal Studios,
Mm-hmm.
even though this is the last movie under the Paramount name.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah.
Before they try to grab all the rights for themselves.
But this, after we have that interaction with the Red Skull, we then meet Steve Rogers.
I wrote Tiny Steve in my notes. That's what I wrote.
He is Sickly Steve. This is hang on, I've got it here. My God, this is why I need a better organization. Um, this is Skinny Steve Rogers.
Yeah. Did you do any research on how
Yes,
they did this? It's
yes.
nuts when I heard
It's
about how they did
crazy.
this.
It's crazy. So, in order to make young, skinny Steve Rogers, most of the shots were done by a Los Angeles company named Lola, which
Mhm.
specialized in digital plastic surgery.
Yeah, yeah.
So the technique involves shrinking Chris Evans in all his dimensions. They shot each skinny Steve scene. These are not my words, by the way.
Sorry.
Scene at least 4 times.
Yeah,
Once like a normal scene with Evans and his fellow actors and actresses in the scene. Once with Evans alone in front of a green screen, so
yeah,
his elements can be reduced digitally. Again with everyone in the scene, but with Evans absent,
yeah.
so that the shrunken Steve can be reinserted into the scene, and finally, with a body double mimicking Evans' actions in the case the second technique was required.
Is to get the eye lines right as well. So you have
Yeah,
to shoot it with the small body, like the small body guy,
yeah,
because you need everyone to be looking at his face.
exactly. So that was
Four
how they did.
times, man.
They had a head double for him, they had a torso double for him, and they
Yeah,
had legs double for him as well.
yeah.
But his actual, um, oh God, his actual stunt double is, I am going to cry. It is a British Olympian decathlon, Daniel Awadi.
Oh, like his muscle man
Yeah,
body
his
double.
running double.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Oh,
thought that
that's
was really
interesting.
cool that a Brit was part
Yeah.
of it. But you want to know Steve's illnesses?
Yeah, read them out. I heard asthma a lot.
It actually says summary of patient's health issue in brackets for skinny Steve Rogers. Um, Asthma,
Yeah.
scarlet fever,
Ouch.
rheumatic fever,
Uh-huh.
epilepsy,
Oh.
sinusitis,
Oh no.
chronic and fatigue colds, high blood pressure, palpitations.
Yeah. So that's
It's
all of
see,
those are a write off for the army draft.
asthma alone is like, obviously, and they say that because this, when we meet Steve, that's what he's trying to do. Like I thought we was going to knock me cup over there. He is trying to enlist in the army because
Yeah.
in his heart of hearts, he doesn't believe he is worthy to not fight when everyone else is being sent to war.
Yeah. And his parents helped out. Like he said, his dad died in the First World War. He's like, how'd your father die? Mustard gas, sir. Like he's
To the
very
matter of fact,
stuck up
no,
sort of at the moment.
he's very matter of fact. Like
Yeah.
this is an honor for him. Like his mom was a nurse,
Yeah.
and his mom's called Sarah
All right.
Rogers, and there is a deleted scene where you see a flashback of Bucky and Steve coming back from Sarah's funeral,
Oh yeah.
and it's pretty sad. And I can kind of understand why they didn't put it in because they established so much in this friendship between these two
Mhm.
in less than 20 minutes.
Yeah, because the first thing you see is he gets in a fight because there's a guy at the movie theater mouthing off about
Shh,
America. Play the movie.
America.
So then he fights him in the alley. he picks up a garbage can lid for as a shield.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where we get his now iconic catchphrase, I suppose. The I could do this all day.
Yeah, there's a few little catchphrases that are said within this
Yeah.
period of time, that being one of them, because then Bucky comes and saves his bum.
He kicks the guy in the pants as well, doesn't he? It's very
Yeah,
like it's
it's
very like
very,
oldie time.
it is. It's almost very classic Hollywood.
It's classic
Um,
Marvel comics as well. Like
that's
when everyone was
true.
like, Parker, you milksop.
Um, I can just imagine like the kick. But yeah, and then you've got, what is it? So they go to the expo with,
Yes,
which is
double date.
Howard Stark's expo,
Yeah,
where he's bringing the future to now with
yeah.
his flying car that does not fly.
It's very like it is very Stark though, isn't it? Like how all of Tony's things explode for the first
Hmm.
time
He
and
was
needs
like,
the
"Well, I
fire
did say it was
extinguisher.
the future."
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. He's like, it's 3 or 4 years out.
I really wish they could have done a lot more with Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark. Like, I don't get us wrong, I
Yeah.
love the guy who plays him.
I think
Um,
he's in the Peggy Carter
he
TV show a bit
is. Oh,
more.
I love that.
I did watch
First,
it. Yeah, it was good.
the first season is absolutely breathtaking. The second one is like they didn't quite know where they were going to go with it. Hence,
They didn't. They were
it,
doing
it.
the same with Agents of Shield as well, where they were
Oh,
like,
don't even
"Well,
get me started with that.
they were like, we'll just do it, and hopefully we'll get picked up for movie deals," and they never did.
Terror Mist. The
Inhumans.
you ruined Inhumans. Um,
They keep on threatening that she's gonna pop up in a movie. I'm like, she's not. Like,
she's
the
not,
main
because
girl.
she's not, because then you've got to then explain Tarragon Mist, and you've
Mhm.
changed you've changed Kamala Khan's arc now to where it's not Tarragon Mist that
She has a
gives her
mutant.
powers. Exactly, she's a mutant, so you can't go down the Inhuman route at this point. You've made it kind of, I feel, impossible.
Yeah. I just
Even
want
though there
to.
was an Inhuman in the multiverse. Never mind.
I need to. I need to drop this knowledge because.
Oh, is it
Yes.
doing your head in?
No, no, it's fine. I'm just like Captain America. He is the first Avenger, but arguably the first superhero of all time shows up here with the little flyby of the synthetic man who's inside of the like a glass case. It has his actual correct like comic accurate creator that says like presented by Phineas Horton. Like that's the actual guy who
What?
created the Human Torch, the synthetic man. Um, so I just wanted to do a little rundown on him because he's also a
Yeah.
timely comics guy. Their big three was Cap, Namor, and him. Um,
Well, well,
yeah,
Neymar was meant to be in this
in
movie.
in that tube.
In this, it was, yes, yes, yes. That's where it was. Sorry,
Really?
because yeah, Neymar was meant, because he is part of Steve's
Yeah,
starting point
yeah, the
in Timely Comics.
Submariner.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so these like obviously like the Human Torch. We know him as Chris Evans also. So there's a lot of connections here. But yeah, he's the Flame On guy.
Come on.
He's in Deadpool and Wolverine. But originally he was a robot man whose skin would ignite when he come into contact with oxygen or something. Um, but he's dead interesting. Like he obviously fought Namor because there's the whole fire and water thing. So early on they were like, oh well, these guys go great together.
It wasn't until you messaged us earlier and said the name, I was like, oh
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
So he's another one who they just fell off. Like people just stopped reading his comics and they just repurposed the name at some point. But it was like it wasn't one of those like it wasn't anything personal. They weren't trying to like delete the character from
Hmm.
existence. They were just like, this is a really cool name. Like obviously
Let's just improve it and put him
we
with a
can't
family.
waste it.
No,
So they
let's
are
put it with
like,
a family.
but now he does actually sit in Marvel's sort of current universes. Um, he's in the New Invaders and stuff like that, where apparently he takes over like the Future Foundation at some point. I guess
Oh,
the Fantastic Four fall out of favor, and they're like, "Oh well, he'll the Human Torch synthetic man will take over."
it's
um,
fine. We'll just let him do it.
but apparently, because he's like a really cool guy, he's like, "I will look after these kids with every fiber of my being." And later on in that story, one of the cosmic beings is like, you know, that guy over there, he has a soul. Even though he's a robot, he's such a cool guy that he actually has a soul.
I'm a real life boy.
And he came back this December, like last month in like the Ultimates universe.
What?
Cap like found him like in a vault thing and reignited him. And he's like, "Come on, Human Torch, my old pal from the 1930s."
My old buddy.
So that's like
He's my drinking pal.
so that comic's the Ultimates, I believe.
Wow.
So he's currently doing his rounds again.
Oh my God, this just goes to show like how far behind I am in comics.
It's cool though, because it's like it is comics past, but that even though like it's amazing they were thinking of referencing this stuff. Because I didn't know who the synthetic man was. Like I'd probably read somewhere that there was an original robot Human Torch, but that was all I knew.
Oh, that's so cool though. I'm glad you looked into that because I would never have actually went, that's something I need to research.
And it was hard to research because Wikipedia's got a bit bad on the old comics front, so I had to do some extra digging.
Yeah, it's not been great. Where are we? We're at the expo. We've seen the cars, Synthetic Man.
He does his little thing where he looks in the window like the army man. He's like,
it makes me so sad. If he was just him who did it first, I'd be like, oh. But it's the fact that the big guy, the big tough guy, does it first, and then it's just his eyes at the chin level, and you're like, oh, poor Steve.
And then this is when he gets noticed by the professor man.
It's Stanley Tucci, who I cannot pronounce his character's name.
Oh, I didn't even write it down, but it's like it is actually like, you know, from the comics and stuff. And
yeah, I wonder if he's in my notes. My notes, which I thought up until right this moment were brilliant and all in the right order, and clearly they're not.
It's all right. I'll get it because what is it? Erskine. Dr. Erskine.
I'm looking at it. The minute you said it, my eyes just went straight to it.
So yeah, he picks them up and he kind of like looks over his file. They kind of give him the shakedown a bit, like they have the military police come in while he's trying to get in the army again, lying about who he is, and he's like, yeah, I think you've like applied like 5 times, and he gets a little worried, and he's like, do you want to kill Nazis? And he's like, is this a test?
Is this a test?
And he's like, yes.
I wish there was a callback in some other Captain America movie and where he's been in, where they did the whole, because he says it twice.
Yeah.
Like, is this a test? So I would have loved that to have been like a little callback, but
there's still time. But I really liked his line though when he's like, I don't want to kill anyone. I don't like bullies, no matter where they're from. And I'm just like, hell yeah. I mean, he does kill a lot of people in this movie.
He does, but
he doesn't want to. That's the point.
Exactly. He really doesn't want to. And this is where Erskine gives him his seal of approval that he's been so desperately wanting. And before
he's like, where are you actually from? He's like, you know, like Steve, and he's like, Brooklyn.
Even though every time I see Steve, I know Steve Rogers like the back of my hand, but still convinced he's from Boston. He's not.
Oh, I thought you were going to at least get one of the 5 boroughs.
No. I remember when we did the quiz on the 24-hour live stream, and that was the first Marvel question. I was like, I fucking got this. I was so wrong. I was like, I will just leave.
I think Boston's where John Cena's from. If you're getting those
mixed up. Is it not Spider-Man?
No, he's Queens.
Do you know what? Boston is actually where Chris Evans is from.
Right, okay.
And John Krasinski, because they did that car advert with the smart car.
Yeah.
It packs the smart car.
Beantown, everyone. So yeah, like this is like the whole thing where you see the Dr. Zola guy. He's a classic Marvel villain, the scientist man.
I love the fact that this is Toby Jones. Like
in the comics as well, he's like a TV screen and a body, and that's why they show him with his like big eyes, you know. Like,
and we do get that version of Zola later on, but
he needs a robot body though. I'm not going to be happy until he's got a robot body.
Hopefully Zola will come back at some point. You know, the deeds of the Red Skull is never
Do you know what he's famous for in the comics, this Dr. Zola, other than
No,
being a mech with a TV screen? He's famous for cloning Hitler, who
no,
becomes the Marvel villain, the Hate Monger.
no.
uh, we're truly in
Wow.
the dark sciences now.
And the thing is, though, what you've got to like this comic and this movie is heavily influenced by its origin comic,
They don't shy
um,
away from it though. They talk about Hitler a lot,
a
and I feel like they
lot.
wouldn't do that now. It's
No, I
cool
don't.
though.
I think it is because it's history, and you can't
He was
hide away
there,
from history.
yeah.
Exactly, you can't hide from it. It actually
And
happened,
and like
and
it's accurate to the comics too, because like Red Skull was like Hitler's protege for
yeah,
some
and
reason.
the great thing about the source material for this. It's happening as like this is
Yeah,
brought out in 1941. This is when America joins the war.
yeah, like it's interesting times, isn't it? Because it's like this, when everyone's like keep politics out of comics, it's like, did you know that comics started as political
Yeah,
friggin' pamphlets? Basically, this is almost propaganda. But
massively.
yeah, it's
This is Captain America punching Hitler on the front. I actually have that comic book somewhere.
selling war bonds and all that stuff. Like
Hmm.
they really did that in the comics. Like it's not really a joke.
And to be honest, they really did that in real life. They didn't send Captain America over. They sent other Hollywood stars over. Like Marilyn
Yeah.
Monroe went over and did it.
Oh yeah, there's that guy who's always on The Simpsons, and it's the Bob Hope.
Bob Hope.
Yeah.
Bob Hope Christmas show.
Oh, what the
Eh.
hell's he doing in Springfield? Hope. But yeah, so we get some little Nazi science here where you don't really know what they're doing, but they're putting the cube in stuff, machines are exploding, and then they're saying all the cool stuff like this will change the world. The power I've just created can power my machines.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah, and it doesn't. Well, it does, and it doesn't. But what you
Steve
do
stops
get,
it.
he does. What you do get though is Erskine telling. I didn't realize that Steve was fully aware of the super soldier serum. Before he went and had the procedure done, I thought they just told him on the day. Like,
Yeah,
sorry, kid, this is what you're actually training for.
well, it's an odd one. I think they kind of just drop him in there to see what he'll do, like on the platoon. But this is Peggy's big moment where she punches a guy, which I felt was a little bit much. I mean, he was an asshole.
He was an asshole, but
Um,
I can imagine she's probably heard the same
yeah,
line of the same yank 100 million
yeah,
times. She's a lady, she's British, she's gonna represent.
yeah. She sucker punches him pretty much.
Hayley Atwell looks fucking stunning in
Yeah,
this. Like everything is perfect. There is
she's
not a
great as
hair.
well in the scenes. Like like all our lines are perfect and everything. Like no
Oh, she's
notes.
just she actually portrayed this like Ginger Rogers.
Mhm.
Ginger Rogers had to do everything Fred Astaire did, but backwards and in heels.
Yeah, yeah,
And she said she is doing everything that Steve Rogers does in backwards and in heels.
definitely. And we
So
see in the stupid what if show that she has the potential to be even greater than Steve Rogers if she had the serum. Maybe.
I know I can see that. She's just absolutely she's the minute she's on screen she commands it and she's flawless. She has the same ideology as Steve
Mm-hmm.
in a way, but Steve can have his head up in the clouds sometimes.
Yeah, she's very much
Especially
like the strategy is important.
yes,
Like stick to
whereas
the
he's
plan.
happy just to jump out of a plane after he
Yeah.
thinks that him and her and Howard Stark are fun doing. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
That's
so that just proves how so out of touch Steve actually is.
well,
Do you
yeah.
fondue?
It does seem like they're gonna go on a date though, and he does the very much like, oh well, I guess he doesn't like me. He just like jumps out the plane. It's very cute in a sort of like naive way. um
It goes to prove how naive he is when he's like, "Do
uh,
you fondue?" Like, oh, yeah, man.
but yeah, I think when Stark's like, it's just bread and cheese. I think he is being a
It's
bit
right at the
he's being a
end.
bit mean to him though, I
I
think
know.
as well.
I think in that moment he is like kind of
Like
just
joshing him.
leaving it hang there. But
Yeah.
it's later on where he messes up and he's like, "I thought you two were fun doing." He's like, bread and cheese, my friend. Like,
Yeah, but
you looked into
I
that
also
too
think
deep
he's still messing on with him a little bit because yeah,
because it's how
you
it's
know what the
stuck.
stocks are like.
Yeah, it is
um
how it's stuck.
this is where Tommy Lee Jones shows up as well, playing an
My
army guy,
man,
which I feel like he was born to play that kind of guy.
he is come of a household favorite for
I love
me and
him. I've
Alv.
always loved him.
When we the fugitive changed my whole. I thought I liked him.
Yeah,
I didn't realize I loved him
like how
until I
much of
watched
a
the fugitive.
powerhouse he is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that man has got range. I mean, um, yeah, I even loved him in the Batman movie, like as Harvey Two Face, even though I know
He's nuts.
that's he's
But
crazy.
that was his choice to be that crazy, and I
Yeah,
respect him for it.
exactly.
Um, he says some nuts lines though when he's doing his like big speeches, and he's all like, General Patton says it's not the not the weapon that wins the war, it's the man behind it, all that stuff. There's a part where he's talking about like the super soldier thing, and he's just like, we're trying to make like a guy who could personally escort Adolf Hitler to the gates of hell. And I'm just like, whoa, dude. But okay.
Hey, it's
See,
just you don't think it's because it's language that it's just so
yeah.
lost now. Like we don't
Yeah.
talk about them.
It's so
It's only ever
earnest.
in documentaries or
Yeah.
we've managed to make World War Two in color. No one asked
Yeah.
for it.
But I love how like Tommy Lee's just got the comedy timing like down perfectly, because when he's just like watching him do star jumps, he's like, it's making me cry, like to the doctor.
It's when
Um
they when they do the ultimate test, and I think this is what really
oh yeah.
convinces Tommy Lee Jones's character that Steve Rogers is the guy is when he chucks the dummy grenade and everyone
Yeah.
runs apart from Steve and he jumps over the top of it. But it's the line that he delivers to him where he's like, he's still too skinny
Yeah.
and walks
Yeah.
away.
And this is like after he's been telling them like that loser who got punched. He's like, oh, like choose this guy. He's like, he's big, he follows orders, and then like the doctor's like, he's a bully. Like, we don't need any more of those,
No,
like sort of thing.
And Erskine actually explains what he sits down with Steve later before the
Oh
procedure,
yeah, on the
and
night
he
of it,
explains lovely the difference in Hugo Red Skull has taken the serum, and it's
a
kind
version
of
of it.
a
Yeah, like a
version of it. It's
yeah,
not the serum,
the
but it's a
perfect
version of
one.
it, and he has gone kind of adverse to the effects of what they were expecting.
Mhm.
He has manifested the look of himself on
Like
the
hate.
inside
Yeah.
on his outside, and this is what he explains to Steve, that you're a perfect candidate because of what's in here, what's in your heart.
Mhm.
That's what's going to make you the perfect soldier.
Yeah. And
It's not
like
going to be the
Stanley
strength or anything.
and like Stanley Tucci, like he like acts it so well in
Oh,
like this kind of like fatherly, like really like friendly way. And
yeah.
like I love when he's like, oh no, you've got procedure, you can't have this.
And he's like,
And
we'll have a drink when we get back.
he's like, me, I'm not having procedure.
He says the way he kind of doubles it up and goes, I'll
Yeah.
drink this now.
Yeah. And then later on you find out he polished most of it off.
Yeah, he's a bit rough ready next in the next episode.
But yeah,
Um,
the little toast thing is like, to the little guys, you know.
to the little guys. So Steve goes through his procedure
Scary.
with everyone in attendance. Now there was one person who they really wanted in attendance for this scene,
Oh yeah.
and it was co-creator Joe Simon, because at the
Oh,
time he was alive.
right. Okay. So the wanted him as
And
like one of the army men or something.
to be sat there to
Yeah.
watch the creation of his creation.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, due to decline in health, he couldn't travel because he was 98 years old.
Oh, I feel like they could have put him on a TV
He
screen.
died 5 months after its release.
Yeah.
But he did get
It's
to see it. He
yeah.
got to watch the movie. He got a private showing in New York before it was released. And so I'm happy Joe got to see
Oh, for
his
sure.
person come to life.
He must have liked it as well. It's not like an insulting portrayal of his character
I think
by
it's
any stretch.
really no, and it's really respectfully
Yeah.
done to the work he did on issue one.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I picked up on like it's just a silly throwaway thing, but like Steve walks into the room and someone comes up with like an oldie time camera, it's like with like the big flash bulb, and I'm just thinking, that guy took one of those historical photos that he is going to have to hide for the rest of his life because
Yeah, because nobody's
this
meant to know
can't get
about
out.
this.
Yeah, this can't get out. Like, this is an international incident to find out about the super
Yeah.
soldier.
So
Um,
he
I
takes this.
wrote. I was
Oh, go
going to
on.
say I wrote down what apparently his procedure is, and it's muscle injections of the serum, which we've seen happen to Emil Blonsky.
Yeah.
He got the muscle injections, but then he got the spine bone marrow ones as well. Um, Steve just gets muscle injections and Vita rays, apparently. That's what's in the little coffin thing.
I've got it here.
Yeah.
Vita rays. Um,
Um,
and this
uh-huh.
is where he emerges from his pod, even though it gets to a point where it looks like, because Peggy's like, shut it down,
It
like
sounds really
Peggy,
painful.
but Peggy, it's not your call. You are
Wants to
not.
date him after this one.
um, she would have had him as skinny Steve Rogers.
Exactly.
She loved
He's probably only had 5 years left.
the with his bloody illnesses. I'm imagining he did.
Um,
I don't even know how he got that far.
Yeah, but
But
it's
yeah, this
horrible
is
though. You get the like, I could do this, and it's just like, oh no, it's really like tense the scene, isn't it?
it is until it opens up and it's
With his oiled up torso, yeah.
what I actually wrote in my notes, and I remember it because I was laughing my ass off. I was like, they've done a Hulk. His trousers are the same size as he is as a tall person, even though he was small. I was like, Marvel Magic Pants.
Yeah, they didn't even put him in like a weird like, tech suit or anything, being like, oh, you have to wear this or the Vita rays
But
won't work.
wear these baggy trousers so you fill them out when you get bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they knew it was gonna happen. They were like cooking him in there like to stimulate growth and all that stuff, weren't they? Like he was some kind of bread.
um, but soon after the celebration of Super Soldier Serum,
Goes
Steve
bad.
Rogers, it goes tits up
There's a spy.
because Spy is in the room with them and he manages to grab the Super Soldier Serum. It's a
Mm-hmm.
mouthful, that mind. And this is where you see Steve for the first time. What I found brilliant about this, and I didn't know how to put this to lead up to what I wanted to say, but
Yeah.
what I find amazing about this scene where you see Steve running and he's doing all these pull-ups and this and the other, he is quite literally figuring it out as he goes along.
He looks goofy at certain points, and I think it's intentional, isn't it? Like when he jumps over the fence, he kind of
He's
like
like,
wobbles a bit.
and he
Yeah.
kind of like looks at himself as to say, "Whoa!" It's when he initially starts running and he's like, because he's just
Oh,
running at a normal speed, and then he goes, and then he starts running. It's like he
yeah.
tests him what he can do. And then when he's running too far and he can't control himself and he lands in the shop
Yeah, through the
window.
window. Yeah.
I
That's
just
really
thought
cool.
it was little touches like that made us think like they've really thought about the fact that
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to know his strength.
But he didn't have to say anything. Like he wasn't going like whoa, or anything.
Yeah, like, oh my
Like...
God, look what I can do. Like he just went along with it. And it
Yeah.
was I love the part with the kid in the water where he's got the
Yeah.
kid and he just chucks him in the water and Steve like kind of runs to go and save him. The kid's going, I'm fine, I can swim. You go get him. Like
Yeah.
that is just
That's
brilliant.
such a like this movie knows when to be funny. Like it knows when to be like
Just to
serious
break it
and
up a bit.
exactly. But I feel like that's what superhero movies used to be, wouldn't it? You'd get like the silly like one-liners or like, hey, Spider-Man stole that guy's pizza and stuff like that. Like just random
Damn
things to
you,
like
Spider-Man.
to make you laugh.
Yeah, but it needed a bit of a breaking up because you'd gone through
Yeah.
like we're in the lab. Stanley Tucci's character gets shot. Steve
Yeah.
looks devastated. Like the one man who fully understood him
Yeah.
is now gone. And you just see him go from upset Steve Rogers to, oh, I'm fucking pissed. Like, get my
Yeah.
earrings, Steve Rogers.
Yeah. And then we see the spy man decide to go into a super submarine, like a spy submarine.
This is where I
Um,
thought Submariner was going to like appear and just push the submarine down.
True.
Like, but
That would have been it. Like, but no,
but
Steve just swims down there and punches the window out, and the guy's like, "Oh crap!"
shit.
Do you know all of the vehicle designs are based on like real
Yeah.
Nazi blueprints that didn't work, like they weren't
Didn't work,
real.
but no, they weren't, but they were considered. Also that guy, was he in the Hulk?
Oh, the spy person.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it
don't know.
can't be it can't be the real character, right? Because he
No,
cyanide tooths himself, which I hate. I
I
hate
loved
that.
it. I
I
loved
mean,
it.
I love the
I love the
idea. I just hate
sound.
how he like licks his that.
Oh, I love the fact that he just like pulls you, and the fact that it's so tooth you can see as well, and he bites
Yeah,
down, and he does. And the first time that you hear you cut the head of one, two will appear with
yeah.
the Hail Hydra. Um. So yeah, Cyanide Man's
Not the best
gone.
move for a spy, but it is scary.
But isn't that what they said the Nazis did though? They had capsules of cyanide behind
Yeah,
the.
yeah.
Just imagine if you bit your tongue eating and then all of a sudden your capsule of cyanide just slipped out and you're like, oh shit! Like,
Got to be really careful when you're that high up. I think in the
yeah,
the special teams and stuff. Um, he also uses like the cab door as a first shield as well, doesn't he?
yeah.
Like the Lucky Star cab door. That's quite cool.
In
Um,
the first comic, isn't it? It's the panel. It's the isn't it? Sure,
I'm
it's in
not
the
sure.
comic. I can't. I can.
I don't have any $1 million comics in my
No,
house.
no.
um,
Well, this is when so Cap now decides that he needs to be part of the bigger picture and has to go after Red Skull, and Tommy Lee Jones is like, "Fuck no."
yeah. And then the guy
But
and then the sort of the businessman comes along, doesn't he? He's like, we have a job for you.
Senator Brandt
Yes.
finds him and says, "We can make you a real life captain, the man with the plan."
Yeah.
Captain Steve Rogers.
The Star Spangled Man with the plan.
I wanted to get the lyrics for this song,
It's
but I
nuts. There's a part about
totally forgot.
hanging Nazis and everything.
Oh, I'd imagine it's pretty brutal. Like it's hard to
Yeah.
keep up with because when you're listening to one line, the next one's kicking in. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
where am I? Yeah. So you get the Star Spangled Man with a plan.
Yeah. Which is very much like in the style of like those old like stupid 60s cartoon ones. It's not the theme song for that though, because that one's when Captain America throws his mighty shield. Iconic.
Did I
Uh,
ever send you the Avengers from the 1940s, the cartoon?
well, I think so. I'm sure I sent you the Hulk one as
I
well, where
am
it's
the
like he's
hulky,
so.
the hulky monkey.
Yeah.
Which makes
They
us
didn't
laugh.
know what they wanted to do, man. The Hulk one's just like, isn't he funny? He jumps like it's just like
He
telling.
jumps around like a bunny.
It's just like the ever loving Hulk. Acha. That's all we got,
What
guys.
ta ta?
Pack it up.
We're done.
He's green. That's all I know.
Christ.
But yeah, I love
Yeah,
this though because it even like has layers to this as well, where he starts out reading off the back of his shield when he doesn't know
yeah.
his lines, and then after a while
His
he's like perfect
um,
at it.
I've just had a moment. I've seen that shield.
Yes, you did. The Star Spangled Shield.
If you didn't watch the last episode, like how dare you? But I explained how I went to
Chris.
London, Chris. I told her the story how I went to London in
Yeah.
December and I got to see Thor's hammer and also Captain
One of his prop
America's
shields.
his prop shield, the one that
Yeah.
was used for Star Spangled Man with a plan.
I like it. I like the actual shield shape, which was his original design, I believe.
Yeah, the
Um,
almost like a diamondy, even though it's
makes
not
makes a bit
crest.
more sense as a weapon because it's got sharp edges. But
Yeah, even
yeah,
though just to break the illusion, it's just wood.
oh, it's
It's
not.
just a plank of wood. But still, I don't care. I've seen it. You
Yeah.
haven't. No,
So
I'm only joking.
yeah, so this is where we first see him in costume as well, but it's a little silly. It's a baggy costume, like
It
it's
doesn't fit him.
not really.
No, I love the design of it though, and
Hmm.
it's only because it's traditional, the
It
look
has
of
the
it.
wings as well, which
It
fans love.
it does. Don't get us wrong, my favorite suit of all time with Steve Rogers will always be Winter Soldier.
Uh-huh.
But I appreciate where this comes from.
We'll talk about when we get there, but
Yeah.
for me, the First Avengers as peak costumes for everyone. I
Right.
can't wait to look at them again.
Not long
um,
now.
but yeah, so Steve's kind of like, I'm not really enjoying this, but I'll do it. It's still helping the war effort.
He's doing his part. The only way that he's been allowed to.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. Red Skull's making a disintegration gun out of the cosmic cube.
Pew!
He melts everyone.
Did you
Um,
know that that was part of the Infinity Gauntlet at the time, like one of the stones?
no, and I looked
No.
up the cosmic cube in the comics. It's not traditionally an Infinity Stone. It's like
Right.
its own thing.
Got you.
Apparently, if you leave it alone too long, it can become sentient, like turn into an Eternal. Because there's a
Mm.
guy called the Shaper of Worlds who's like a giant
Yes, I
scroll.
know him.
He's made of a cube that spent
Yes, he
too much
is.
time on Scroll World. Um,
Ah,
but
okay.
yeah, no, I had no idea that's where they were going with this at the time.
Mm.
Um,
No, me neither. I just wondered if you did, if it was something that I missed because of, not knowing shit at
no,
the time.
they don't even like hint at it. It's just like it's an infinite power
I
source.
think
That's
it's
all we
only
know.
I think it's only ever brought up initially in Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that's where,
Yeah.
I mean, you can correct us if I'm wrong, but I
No,
feel
that is
that's
where
where
they
it's.
definitely break it.
Mm-hmm.
And I
But
feel
this
like
where it's all mentioned as well, and they show
yeah,
you because the collector shows you all the stones, and it's the Tesseract, like the
yeah.
time stones there.
Yeah, and they sort of do the and this one from Thor the Dark World. That was one too, guys. um
Yes.
so yeah,
Um.
like this so you're getting the kind of like two sides of a coin here where like Red Skull's like I'm preparing for war and Cap's like I really want to prepare for war but I'm
Like
kind
I
of stuck.
really want to be in this.
Then
But he's not.
he hears about the 107th platoon half going missing and he's like
Yeah.
that is my dead father's and Bucky's platoon. I must jump to action.
And he's told no.
Yeah,
Pretty much, he's told no, you can't go. But this is where Howard Stark, and Peggy Carter go against orders and help him go and get
yeah. It's just like I've got
Bucky.
some Jeep keys, and I found you a helmet from the show
Let go.
with the A
Let's
on
go.
it. You got the Prime helmet. Um, okay, so we get the super infiltration.
Hmm.
Where he's like taking out guards and knocking guys over fences and stuff. I love how they like manifest his powers here because he's never like in peril or anything. He's
No.
literally just knocking guys like over and like barreling through stuff. It's great to see. It's like I love when you actually get to see superheroes just like use all of the powers and not
Yeah.
really be like stopped because then it's like right, well I understand
Like, why
why
are we
he's
watching it
here
then?
and everyone else is down here.
Yeah.
uh,
The
yeah,
the funniest thing to me in comedy is when people run in a straight line and just
yeah,
push someone over randomly for no reason
yeah.
and then keep running.
He
Like
kind
a
of does
man.
that, doesn't he?
He does it a fair few times in the street, and I don't know if he does it on purpose, but he pushes people out the way when he's running
Yeah.
down the street for no reason.
Oh, I know what you mean though, in Anchorman. He's like running to the phone box.
There's
um,
nothing more funnier than that because it's totally unexpected, but
yeah.
also at the same time expected.
Yeah. So this is where we meet the Howling Commandos, who are also comic book stars.
Like, oh.
Yeah, so he kind of goes up to them like, "Who are you supposed to be?" He's like, Captain America. But he's kind
Like,
of all
really?
business. They're like, "Do you know what you're doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I've punched Hitler like 300 times." He kind of just brushes it off. He's like, "I don't care about these, the jokes. Not bothered. I need to find Bucky."
Yeah.
Do you know they wanted some more cameos in this part with the prisoners?
I know of cameos that I have been holding on
Yeah.
to deliver at the
you
right
can you
time.
can drop them because it was apparently supposed to be in this prisoner camp, I think.
Okay, so the cameo appearances that were originally planned was Wolverine
Yeah.
and Magneto.
Yeah, which doesn't make a lot of sense for Magneto, like little Escher to be there.
Yeah, because he would have been a child. The whole
Yeah,
origin of and what we know and what you've seen on the movies done beautifully,
yeah,
twice as well. That whole scene's been done twice. Was that he was a child in World War Two, and
yeah,
part of the concentration camps, and has his his own set
yeah.
of numbers. Um,
But
yeah,
Logan could make sense. It would be a bit much, I think, to drop Wolverine as a
it,
cameo and then just never go back to him.
well, what they're saying is that yeah, Logan would have been perfect because he was a soldier and Eric was in the internment camp. So for all that you would have seen a Magneto, it would have been a young Magneto. You would not
Yeah.
be seeing Eric
But
as
Logan would have been a full-on mutant at this point
full on.
with bone claws, but still, berserker rage,
Yeah,
healing factor. Like
yeah.
that guy would not be in a cage, I don't think, or trapped for very long.
I love the fact that it says, however, these cameos were scrapped due to rights issues
No
because
shit,
that
yeah.
was the issue.
Yeah, yeah. They were like, actually, Fox owns those characters, so we
Well,
actually
now
can't.
the Disney Fox merger in 2019,
Yeah.
Marvel could, but are they going to really
It,
rewrite?
it took them a long time to they were so scared. It took them so long to try Wolverine out. In
Mm.
fact, I'm pretty sure Hugh Jackman had to ring them up and be like, I want to
Um,
be Wolverine. And they were like, really? Like, and he's like, yeah, it'll be fun. Like, I think they're terrified of the X-Men still, I think.
get that because
We'll
if you
see.
fuck, but if you fuck that up,
We'll see.
you
We'll
don't want to be
see.
on the receiving end of that,
Um,
really.
so like this is where we find Bucky. And they
Yeah.
don't really say anything, but he is kind of on like a weird operating table. Are we supposed to think that he got some weird experiments done on him then?
No, I don't
No?
know. No, because the Winter Soldier effect doesn't happen until after he's
Yeah.
presumed dead, loses his
And he
arm,
he
and does
gets
a
like he gets different super soldier stuff that I think they have to keep pumping him with, like at a certain point.
That's the impression I got.
Yeah, it seems like it.
And
And
he
obviously,
only goes into the crazy world when he's and I use that word incredibly loosely because I don't know
yeah.
how else to describe the state that he goes into when he's triggering words.
Yeah,
Freight cart.
but I think we're supposed to assume that later on when he falls, that
I,
is the
I think
start
it's
of his.
foreshadowing.
It's like I think that's the start of his memory loss, and then the Russians just did a number on him for some reason.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. He's just one of those mysterious characters where he doesn't remember, so we're never gonna know.
No. So the yeah, because sorry, my notes are jumping all over the place and going way too fast for me.
Oh, he doesn't
So
die yet. Yeah,
he doesn't
sorry.
die yet, no. So this is when the encounter with Bucky at this point is where Steve rescues him,
And he
and
sees
this
how
is
big
where
he is.
shit. Um, the line that we just to go back to the beginning, another line of Barnes and Rogers is don't do anything stupid while I'm gone. And he's
Yeah.
like, how can I? You're taking all the stupid with you. That's used again.
Yeah, that's what they say to each other when the last see each other before
Yeah.
this whole adventure.
They do it
Um,
in the end of don't they
End
do it in
game.
Endgame as well? Yeah.
Yeah, it's cute.
Um it is and it's the little things like that that really establish their friendship, like
Yeah,
and who they are to each other.
like you say, they don't have a lot of time to work with, but I believe the friendship. They do enough in the
I
time they have.
believe that that's not only his best friend, that is his brother. That is his brother from
Yeah.
another mother.
And like they do like little cute things later on where he's like, remember when I took you on the ride at Coney Island? He's like, yeah, and I threw up. Like they do like tiny little world
Yeah.
building things. It's
They do,
very good.
it really helps. Like you haven't got a great deal of time to like
Mhm.
forge that friendship that we know is there.
Yeah. But we
But
didn't
yeah,
get any chance to see much of it. So yeah, then he marches all the lads back to the sort of station camp, and
he
then
might as well just walk up with a big FU flag to Tommy Lee Jones
oh,
and
he's
like
he's not like that though, because he's like, I'm surrendering myself for disciplinary, sir. And then he's like, that won't be necessary. But he doesn't really like thank him though, because he's like, you had faith, eh, Peggy?
it's when Bucky's like, we should be thanking him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Captain
Three
America.
cheers for Captain America. Yep, yep. It's very
Hooray!
yeah, it's very of the time, but I
It
like it.
is. I do like it as well. It
So
just validates Steve in a way.
yeah, so then this is where it's kind of like it's up in the air where the army sort of heads are thinking like, oh, we'll just go back to his normal thing now. But then Peggy and everyone are like, no, we need to get this guy on the front lines because there's super tanks coming. Like, because they found like a bunch of the weapons now, so they know like
Yeah.
Hydra's jumped ahead on the technology. So they're like, oh, we got to throw our big gun at it.
We have to. What was the point? What was the point? And
Yeah,
why is Stanley Tucci's death just being not avenged?
yeah,
Avenged? I don't know where I was
Avenged.
going with that.
This is where we get our Stan Lee cameo, though.
Yes.
And another secret cameo that I did not know until this watch through. The original movie Captain America, Reb Brown is sitting next to Stan Lee
Yes.
when he's like, I thought he'd be taller, and Reb Brown is just staring into the middle distance like this. He's not a great actor, bless him, but he seems like an alright guy.
He picked the phone up and said, "Hey, Marvel,
Yeah,
would you mind as being an extra?"
yeah.
Apparently, there's another Captain America guy
Uh-huh.
in that place as well.
All right, okay.
But couldn't tell you the name, couldn't tell you what he looked like, but yeah.
No, Reb Brown's hilarious. He's been in some very bad like parody, like rip-off movies. Like he's in a Predator rip-off called Robo World. He's in a Conan rip-off called like Your Hunter from the Future or something. Very like schlocky, like 70s, 80s, just like B movie stuff.
Yeah.
He's on Mystery Science Theater a lot. He's in those kind of movies.
That completely skipped me by.
He's fun though. He's got a crazy energy about him. But in this one, he doesn't really command any.
Just staring. This is when we get to see what Howard Stark's been working on.
Oh god, it's stupid shields that he shows him. Like, this one's got spikes on it.
Yeah. But then he picks up the infamous
the little piece of junk that's under the table that the Starks don't care about.
Yeah, Tony just uses it as a bloody wedge.
And Peggy just shoots it.
She's pissed.
Yeah,
I can't remember why she's pissed, but she's pissed.
Because he smooched that girl from Game of Thrones.
Natalie Dormer, that's right.
What man could resist? Let's face it. Oh,
hey, it's been a long day. Cut him some slack.
He's never kissed a girl before, right?
And that's when he does the line. It's just cheese and bread, my friend. Like, there's nothing to it. You've messed up there.
He did, but he got a smooch.
He did exactly. Win-win.
He doesn't have time to date anyway. We see what happens.
Yeah.
This is where we get a line about vibranium as well. And he's like, well, why isn't this standard issue? And it's like, that's you holding all of the vibranium in the world that they know of.
Remember, this is 1941. This is all they know at this time. But this is where Steve and his team, which is consistent of Bucky Barnes and the Howling Commandos, decide to infiltrate Red Skull and Zola.
Yes, in their like little mountain base, isn't it? Like the little snowy mountain base.
Almost Indiana Jones type of looking end scene with the train and the mountains and the snow and the.
It's cool though, because I like how they set it up and they're like, oh, they know we're onto them, so they've accelerated the train. We've only got 10 seconds to like get on. And like this is where we get our little like a classic train sequence, drop on top, climb on the side, like scary fights in hallways. There's like flamethrower mech guys in there and stuff. It's probably like video gamey.
It is, but it works. In order, especially to get some great action in there where it's not too over the top.
And the shield can bounce around a lot if it's in close to quarters.
Yeah, it's when he's trying to like talk with Peggy Carter and she's like, Steve, and he's like, oh yeah, and he just chucks his shield.
Clunk.
But this is where we have our first death.
Bucky
and honestly, up until Winter Soldier, like I think we all knew who it was going to be, but for the people in the back who don't read comic books, they might not have guessed that Winter Soldier will turn out to be.
It doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it, because you're like, he died in war times and yet lives on. But that's that super soldier serum. That
super soldier serum, it gets you every time. And
apparently as well, that's how he survived. I tried to read up on Steve's powers, and it's just a lot of like, he is the peak of human this, he is the peak of human that. But apparently his cell regeneration is so good that that's how he can survive being literally just frozen. Because spoilers, we would die if we just got frozen in the Arctic. You
I
don't
feel
you
I
don't
don't
come out the
know.
other side of
I don't know if
that.
I feel like we need to say this, but I'm going to be on the safe side. Don't try it at home, kids.
Yeah, but apparently because of his like super cells, it like stops things from crystallizing. So like,
Then I'm gonna have a lot of questions come endgame, but we will get
yeah,
to that eventually. But yeah, this is where Bucky falls from his death in a very classic old Hollywood style shot of him just
take my
going.
hand. Wow.
But I'm sure this is like a Star Wars moment as well, where he loses his arm because you see his arm. Like we know he's lost his arm. This is how it's
Mm,
recognizable as the Winter Soldier with the iron with the metal arm.
possibly, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but his arm's
it's
gone.
yeah, we don't like, don't see a body because the train just goes. It's classic,
It's on a high
adventure
mountain. Yeah, exactly.
movies.
It's on a high mountain. But now we have the face off between Cap and Red Skull and him trying to stop him using the bloody ray gun to take out American cities.
Yeah, he's gonna like blast everyone, isn't he? So
Pew
yeah,
pew.
this is where they're like, oh, this is his like cool secret mountain base. Like, we can't just go in the front door. And then the Howling Commander's like, why can't we just go in the front door? And so what they mean is they're gonna friggin' like fly a plane through his window a bit later when Steve's in the right spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like this is where it like kicks up a notch. But everyone shows up to the big
The
like
big
the
finale.
mountain
Yeah.
fight. Even Tommy Lee Jones and Agent Carter are there.
Yeah, they're all there. But then you get Skull and Red Skull and Cap coming face to face. And this blew my mind because I totally forgot about this part when the Tesseract falls out,
Oh yeah, and it like burns through the floor and all that stuff.
but it also sends Red Skull or Schmidt into another place in time. Well, where did he go, Jake?
Yeah. That weird
He went to
soul planet.
Vormir
Yeah.
to watch the stone that he wasn't actually with in the first place.
Yeah, that's what's weird about it, isn't it? It's just like pings him to it like, oh, how about you check this one out?
Yeah,
Um
you've had an interaction with that one. Maybe come and look at this one.
and also he mellows the fuck out
Yeah, he just
after he
I
loses his corporeal form.
well think about it. If it's 70 years, if it's sorry,
He's
60 years between then
yeah,
and Avengers, then it's another what, 10 years on top of that.
yeah. Like 100 years or something. He sat there.
Stewing in his own thoughts.
Yeah, maybe he's like, maybe I wasn't the master race.
Maybe I fucked this one right up.
Just quickly, like before we get there, because it is
Mhm.
just like bang bang shoot 'em up, like
Oh
fun
yeah,
times.
it's
But
very, you know,
yeah, there's a reference to Men in Black which I did not catch until it was pointed out to me.
what?
When he's in the supercar, he presses
Mhm.
the red button and then it does the speed up thing, and the button has a K on it for Agent K.
No way.
Yeah,
What a touch. I didn't
they were
even
ha-
notice that.
they were having fun. But this when they're doing like the car chase up to the stealth bomber that's coming off.
Hmm.
In like the Nazi like staff car thing, like straight out wacky races. Um, this is when Peggy gives him a little smooch just before he jumps into
Yeah.
the aeroplane,
So there's an airplane that has on a load of
the
bombs.
Valkyrie.
Yeah, the Tesseract is burned a hole through the plane and falls into the ocean. So that's now
Yes,
gone. But Steve is now in this plane that is littered with bombs and has absolutely no way to
bomb
land it.
aeroplanes.
Yeah. He has It's so Indiana Jones. He
Yeah,
has no other way of landing it than putting it in the ocean. That's the only way you can see this going down. And the conversation between him and Peggy had me in tears.
oh, they do it so well because it's a proper like they don't say it like out loud, but
Mm.
he's like, okay, now you need to distract me. Like, and
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about a fake date. It's like
yeah.
that's
And
never
she's
gonna
like,
happen.
yeah, she's like, but it did. But yeah, she goes through the date that they're gonna go on, and it's not until the radio cuts out and she just goes, Steve?
Yeah.
Steve?
and they don't make a big explosion out of it, or like
No, there's no
it's
noise.
yeah,
I can
yeah,
feel my eyes well enough thinking about it. There's one scene in Peggy Carter, in Agent Carter, where she finally gets her hands on on what she thinks is the last of the super soldier serum,
yeah,
and she goes to put it in the water. She goes to like destroy it
yeah,
because in her eyes it's done nothing but bad. Like for all that Steve is, you know, a fantastic person and was a great
yeah.
captain, like in the eyes of the world, Captain America, it still took him away from her.
Oh yeah, and it made people make a Hulk
Yeah,
abomination, a U.S. agent. Like it's
like
it's done more bad
it's
than
got
good.
it's got its downsides, and unless you have the heart and soul of a Captain America,
Mhm.
it's not going to do anyone any favors. And when
Yeah.
she pours it into the water, and all she says is "Goodbye, my darling."
Oh yeah.
Fucking tears. Look,
um.
it's the way Hayley Atwell delivers it. It's like
Yeah.
because her voice breaks as she says it, and I'm like,
I tell you
I'm
what's
with you,
great.
girl.
Like what's great as well, because like he kind of starts it all off by being like, oh, I'm gonna have to like put the plane down, and they're like, no, no, like we'll,
We can figure it out. We can. There's
yeah.
another way, and he's like,
He's
there
like,
really
I'm gonna
isn't.
need he says like I'm gonna need a rain check on that dance, and then that's what triggers the whole like, okay, we're gonna have to just do
Yeah,
this until
and
the
she's
plane
like,
crashes.
and he's like, but I
The
can't
stork
dance
It's the Stork Club at 8 p.m. on the dot. That's
on
what
the
she
dot.
says. She likes that 800 hours, whether it be in the morning or
Yeah,
at night.
it's the fact that he goes, but I can't dance, and she was like, I'll teach you.
Yeah.
Oh, that breaks my heart. But as soon as, like you said, there's no explosion, there's no crashing water, there's no nothing. It's actually radio silence
Yeah.
because we literally head straight into the future.
Yeah, there's like one little quick thing where they're like where Howard's in his like, trawler boat and he finds the cube and then he's
Oh
like
yes,
and
uh-huh.
then it's very like quiet and understated though, and then he's like, we're gonna keep on looking, like, well, why, we found the thing, and it's like
He's like,
they try to find him, but I guess it was just like too treacherous out there. Because
it,
like that's the thing you always forget when you see like expeditions and movies and stuff. It's like you do realize you've got to take enough food with you for all those people. There's a
yeah,
certain
and
and fuel. There's a certain point where
it's
you
just
just can't go any further.
it just kind of validates, and it will validate a conversation later on
Mhm.
in Avengers between Tony and Cap on what Howard thought of Captain America. He thought enough to go and find him,
Oh well,
to go and look for him.
you can imagine he sees this as like his failure because he
Yeah,
sort of sent him out there, with his cool shield and his gadgets, and
yeah.
now it's like
Uh,
he
sh-
died because of the stuff we could have done it different.
yeah, but
um
yeah, I felt a lot of love. Not a
yeah,
great deal, but like some admiration between Howard and Cap in that moment where he's looking and he's like, it's just though
but
the line he delivers where he's going, no, we keep looking.
it's in a similar fashion though, like a father and son thing, because like he doesn't perceive Cap as like his
No,
superior. He was very much like, kid, you don't understand women, sort of thing. So
yeah,
like in a weird way, it was like his
he
like
did create
second,
him.
is like, his first son, sort of thing.
He
So
is
maybe
like part
maybe
of the
that makes,
reason but no, it's part of the reason he's here, and the whole
yeah,
brotherly thing between Tony and
yeah.
Cap, like.
I hadn't even really thought about it like this deeply. That's fun though.
But yeah, so we then, well, we presume we're somewhere because Cap wakes up
Oh
in
god, yeah. They try and trick him.
I, I understand their logic, but how the fuck did they not think this was going to backfire? He awakens in a 1940s style hospital room with a
it's
very beautiful nurse coming in.
it's really like, I love how creepy it is though, because even though it's supposed to be like nice and homely, there's still like
It's the
the
music.
music sets you on edge a bit, because it's like
And
well, there's a lack of music and it's just that radio broadcast about the baseball game.
that's from the
Yeah.
other film. That's the only song I could think of.
No,
Um,
definitely.
but yeah, he's got
Definitely.
the baseball game on, and the nurse walks in, and she's very confident, like, "Good evening, Captain Rogers," or and then he's like, "Hold on, bitch, I've seen this baseball match
It's like,
before."
where he's like, yeah, he's like, where am I? And then she kind of like falters a bit
Panics.
and like reaches behind her, and then he kind of like then he goes into action mode and he like tosses a guy through the wall,
Two
and
men
then
walk into the room, two men get booted straight back out of the room.
it's so
Uh,
good.
but
He
she
hasn't
is
lost
left
anything.
alone. No, but she is left alone. And
I
he
would never
runs.
throw the woman through the window.
He does exactly what he did in 1941 when he
Yeah.
chased after the spy. He ran and he runs straight into the streets of New York City,
Yeah.
and you put yourself in Cap's shoes right there in that moment when he is standing looking at all them neo lights, all them billboards, and you literally can put yourself in his position because for the past hour and a bit you have been in 1941 with him. You have
Mhm.
been in dark and dingy times, and then you are looking up at these skyscrapers, and
Yeah, and
it's
he
like,
never like
shit.
he's a New York kid, so like he should know what's there. And then he's
Yeah,
like, uh-oh.
yeah, it's crazy. And but then all of a sudden the army show up because that's what it looked like.
Yeah, yeah.
It
And
wasn't
yeah,
though. It was
sorry,
Nick Fury.
I think I cut you off as well. Like, sorry, but he says like, uh, this isn't right. I was at that baseball game, and they're like, God damn it, they got the wrong baseball game. You think they would have done the research and
Yeah,
picked a
he was
one
like,
from like 2 years later?
I attended this in 1941.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not actually the army. It is Nick Fury,
Mhm.
and he tells him that he's been to sleep for 70 years,
Yeah, you've been asleep, Cap, for almost 70 years.
and the movie ends.
He does say a heartbreaking line where he's just like, I had a date, like sort of
Yes,
thing.
and that was it. And then the movie
He's not even really
ends.
looking at anyone though. That's the interesting thing. He's just like,
He just looks around.
yeah, it's really good acting. Like,
It's,
as much as like people give like the muscle guys from these movies like a bit like a bunch of shit, like Chris Evans tries like out of
in
everyone.
in
Like,
everything he does. Chris Evans is a fantastic actor, and he got so much shit for
mhm.
taking on this part.
He
But thank
loves
God,
acting as well. Like, that's the
yeah,
thing that separates him. Like, because he does small movies now.
he does
Um,
independent movies. He does
yeah.
he does Hollywood blockbusters. He does what if the script is right for him, like The Gifted.
Mhm.
Holy shit, he is so good in that movie.
Yeah.
But this is Chris Evans's sixth comic book movie.
Yeah. He's been through
So
it.
Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer,
Yep.
Push, The Losers, Scott Pilgrim versus the World,
Yeah.
and he also voiced Casey Jones in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 2007,
Ah,
also based
perfect.
on a comic book.
Which one was the 2007 one? Oh, it's all
You
right.
you
I'll
lose
look
me
it
at
up later.
ooze. You lose me at the ooze.
No, but
So
like the mid two the sort of 2000 total stuff was decent. It was pretty
mm,
good. But yeah, it is pretty much just the end there, just like, oh,
you've
um,
got the end
yes,
post credit scene.
yes. Is it the gym scene?
It's the gym scene, but I
Rom
don't think
Avengers.
it's. But I think it's a shorted down version because you get to see flashbacks in the
Yeah.
Avengers one. I don't think you do in this one. I can't remember.
Uh, no,
Oh,
I think it's fairly similar though. I don't think there's any like swapped lines or anything.
no, I don't know. I don't think lines, but I
Yeah,
think you get to see a little bit more in the Avengers because he has
yeah.
the flashback of like going into the plane and
Oh
everything.
yes, when he's punching, it's like
Hmm.
flashing but yeah, sorry, this is just the scene straight.
Yeah,
I love that shot when he like knocks the heavy bag off though.
yeah.
Like, it looks amazing. Like,
He's just, it's effortless to him. But this is where Nick Fury tells him, "Good job for you."
yeah. In this, it like, we know obviously from the next film, from watching it, he's very much in a like, I need to get back to work because this thinking stuff is really messing with my head.
Yeah, yeah. I need to go back and do what I do best.
Yeah,
And what I do best in this moment in time is I need to go and be a soldier. And
yeah.
someone's given him a prime directive of this is your next job. He's gonna follow orders. And
Mhm.
we get the weirdest teaser trailer for
That's
Avengers.
after the full credits, though. It makes you wait.
Yes.
Even though
Yes, it
Disney
does.
Plus is trying to take you away, it makes it small. And it's like, come
Yes.
on, watch the next thing. And I'm like, no, I know there's
No.
something after this. It's Marvel.
It does
Um,
have a button now where you can skip the full credits.
yeah, but on mine it just like started minimizing it and was telling me to watch like,
I like to
Winter
see people's
Soldier.
names. Do you know what I used to do?
I'd like to pick, like, don't take the control away from me.
What I used to do in the cinema after a Marvel movie is obviously wait for the end credit scene to come up and watch all
Yes.
the. But I used to congratulate random people's names I could catch in the credits and give them a round of applause. It really annoyed the people around us.
Oh well, they're losers.
But it's not. It'll never be as good as Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where I'm watching is it Alicia, the golden goddess thingy, I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
And she's sitting in front of the pod and she's like, and I will call him, and there's a pause, now went, Adam. In the middle of the pictures, and the woman behind, and then obviously she says Adam, and the woman behind us took it, and I turned around and went, like, you know who he was, and walked away.
I mean, the tut thing is like who cares? You didn't ruin it. Like you didn't
You
ruin the. Yeah.
I didn't say Adam Warlock, I just said
Yeah.
Adam.
I don't even think do they even say Adam Warlock
Yeah,
in
no.
the next movie that he
Not
shows
that
up
I'm
in.
aware of. No,
The like to
we.
hide. They still have problems where they don't want to go full into comic book
Yeah, I
mode.
feel like they're like, if this doesn't work out, we can just say, oh, it's Adam Smith. it's,
Yeah,
it's Adam Ashbridge.
they've
It's
done that.
nobody.
They've done that
Oh no,
before,
you
haven't
mean it
they?
like wait.
Yeah, no, 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 they've done that before though, haven't they? Where they're like, oh, it was actually like it's not really the Mandarin because we feel a bit embarrassed about it
Yeah,
now.
we fucked up. I
We'll
sorry, I
get
did
to
not
that.
mean that Adam is nothing. I meant like just as in it's not
Yes.
a comic book character.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
No, no.
Adam's a
We
friend.
got you. We got you.
um,
Yeah.
did you know Edgar Wright was rumored to have wrote the screenplay for this?
No, that didn't
He
come up in
didn't.
anything I saw.
He
Yeah.
actually didn't. It was a
Yeah.
rumor. However, Joss Whedon, now bearing in mind Joss Whedon is the director and writer of the Avengers,
Yes.
he actually came in to this movie and give it a little bit more structure
Okay.
and tightened up the relationships and tied together a lot of loose wires and really got it to a place where you're going to go into the Avengers satisfied. Like you've just come off the back of this film and heading
It
into
doesn't
the
feel,
Avengers.
yeah, it doesn't feel like too different.
Disconnected.
Yeah.
There's not a the connections there, and it's I got a lot of opinions on the guy, but that when he does his job, he can do it pretty good, and
Oh,
he.
yeah, like yeah, it's he's objectively a bad dude, but
Hmm.
he had a set of skills that were very popular around this time period.
He had a set of skills. Is he is he Liam Neeson?
No, Liam Neeson's nice by all accounts in real life.
So I've heard. I'm just looking to see if I've got anything more.
No, I was scrolling through my notes as well, and I think the only thing I didn't mention was a little term I picked up on where
Oh no.
the doctor's like, Schmidt's obsessed with what does he say, Teutonic myth, which apparently is just the German like grim fairy tale stuff.
Right,
So
okay.
that was a fun term I got to look up.
Um, what I actually do have is before I start closing my computer down and forgetting I actually wrote this part out. Oh my God, I've just found Steve's other illnesses. I didn't go to the page below.
It's
He's
time for
got heart
illness roundup.
he's got heart troubles, nervous troubles. He has a household contact with tuberculosis,
Oh,
parent siblings with diabetes, cancer, and strokes. Wow, he really didn't stand a chance. How did he even walk? Like, put one foot in front of the other?
it's got
Um,
housemaid's knee, Timetic bubo, needs Schmeckler's powder. Um,
He's got a boo boo. So comics that inspired Captain America, the First
Timely
Avenger.
Comics number one.
Captain America comics number one, the first appearance of Captain America and the Red Skull.
Yeah.
Captain America's only Phase 1 hero who appeared decades before the Avengers were even a thought.
Mhm.
Frail Steve Rogers is turned into a super agent in Captain America Comics issue 1 in an experiment destroyed by a Nazi saboteur. The
Mhm.
comic book came out in 1941, and Captain America would fight in World War II during that era and trade blows with the Red Skull. Captain America the First Avenger takes place during World War II and depicts the iconic comic book cover of Captain America punching out Hitler.
Definitely does. We didn't talk about that explicitly, but it's
It's
fun
there.
when it happens.
It is there. Then the other one is Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, issue number 13. Captain America teams up with the Howling Commandos. This
Dum
is
Dum Duke.
Dum Dum Dugan, what an amazing name. This is the whole thing that makes me, honestly, it takes me right the way back to Big Bang Theory and Raj when he's going through the names of
Yeah.
J. Jonah Jameson. Dun Dun
Yeah.
Dugan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Dum Dum's a very like,
Peter
40s thing to
Parker.
say.
Like he starts these characters' names with the
Yeah.
same letters. But yeah, this is a Golden Age Captain America comic, and it had a different cast of supporting characters to those who were in the movie. Captain America, the First Avenger, features the Howling Commandos, who weren't created until the Silver Age.
Yeah.
So
And
Sergeant,
one of them
hmm?
was Union Jack, I believe, at some point, but that gets a bit muddy as well because there's
Yeah,
obviously loads of people with the same aliases.
yeah, so Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos was a 1960s comic book about soldiers in World War II. Issue 13 teamed up with the Howling Commandos with Captain America, even though the MCU version of Nick Fury doesn't take his inspiration from the vision of this version, sorry, of Nick Fury. The depiction
Yeah.
of the Howling Commandos was similar to the comics.
Yeah. Uh from what I've seen, yeah. And they're sort of mini fan favorites. They do get to come back if anyone wants to watch the Peggy Carter TV
Yeah,
show.
they do. It's
See some
great.
more.
A lot of fun to watch them. Now, this is the one that shocked me the most, and I thought this would be something I'd be bringing up. One as a recommendation, and two is another part of another film. It is Captain America, the First Avenger, Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Hmm.
So the Winter Soldier, the Ed Burbanker Winter Soldier, has 14 issues
Yeah.
of the Captain America First Avenger. Um, Hang on, am I reading this right? Captain America, the First Avenger, is inspired by the Winter Soldier. Captain America issue 1 to 14. This
Hmm.
storyline, collected in the identically named trade paperback, follows Steve Rogers' transformation into Captain America during World War II. It emphasizes his values of patriotism, sacrifice, and leadership. Captain America: The Winter Soldier draws from his storyline with Bucky Barnes back to life as the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
It additionally sets the stage for his future conflicts and oh, can't say the word, heroics, heroics.
Heroics, yeah.
My God, in the
I
MCU.
think they did have to try and reboot Cap a few times, so every time he comes back, they'll probably have to do the backstory again, like update it
Yeah.
again.
So Ed Burbank is the Winter Soldier, which was always going to be one of my recommendations, which is
Oh yeah.
something I would bring into the Winter Soldier.
Hmm.
Obviously, plays a part in this film as well. Um, I've always said that I want the proper Ed Burbanker full collection. It's in
Hmm.
a black sleeved case, like dust cover and everything. It looks beautiful, but it's expensive.
Fancy.
I found a alternative, cheaper version
Yeah.
of the entire run of Winter Soldier. I should have it next week.
Oh, nice. That's exciting.
I've decided like this year I want to make more time for comic books.
Yeah,
I've lacked.
I know you're on like a reading kick at the moment, but you can knock out comics a lot faster, can't you? So
You
that's
can't.
what's
Oh,
good
I
about them.
can. I can. This is why I went digital.
Yeah.
Because the I couldn't have them as fast as I was reading them.
Yeah, takes up a lot of space.
Yeah, I
Can I
had.
give one comic recommendation
Yeah.
as well? Um, it's Steve based, but it also ties into like future stuff. But the actual Infinity Gauntlet comic has one of my favorite Steve Rogers moments in it.
Which one?
Um, and it's when he's like the last Avenger standing, and he just walks right up to Thanos and punches him in the face, and it's like, and he does like a cool speech and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting chills thinking about it. But I just love that he's so like sure of himself that he's like, this guy is the biggest intergalactic bully I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna
I'm gonna
punch him in the
teach
face, even though I know I will die immediately afterwards. I'm still gonna do it. And it's just one of those class moments where you're like,
It's just Steve.
hell yeah, Steve. Like you're just showing why you're like perfectly suited for this, because that takes away Thanos's whole like, because he's like expecting everyone to be terrified of him, and Steve's just like, I'm kind of a regular human. I'm just gonna walk up to you like, godlike being, and
Yeah.
just because he doesn't deserve to see him cowering. So he takes the power swing away from him, really, because he's like, well, that was unsatisfying. I killed him, but now I
Yeah.
feel weird about it
You get
afterwards.
to see that partially some of that in Endgame
I was
when
really hoping they would play that scene exactly, apart from the death.
yeah,
um, but we didn't quite get it. But it's
not quite, but I feel I'm very sad. Like I bawl at that moment.
yeah.
Like literally, I can't even watch it. I tell you what, I do love watching though the audience reactions.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They're fun.
Oh, they make me cry even harder. Like because you can hear people like, especially when it, on your left, and you're like, "Whoa, shit, no!" And it just
God, yeah.
starts.
And we're not there yet, but the
We're
the
nowhere near
tease
there
the
yet.
tease the Avengers line so much and never and don't pay it off until then.
Oh,
Um,
and that is where we will be next.
it's
The
it's
Avengers,
so
we
good.
made it.
We're on the top of the roller coaster. It's about to
It's
it's about
about
to
to,
do the
well, it's
exciting
about to
part.
think it's going to be sitting right here until it then gets to the next two movies, and then it's going to go whoop, and then go right the way back up again.
Yeah, true, true, true. But yeah, I'm very excited to watch Avengers again. Avengers Assemble for us UK EU people who had to have a
That's
different title to the rest of the
always,
world.
always.
Um,
I'm telling you what though, I'm fighting the itch to watch the next one as I've been. Like when I watched this, I was like, oh, I could watch something. No, I need to
last
keep these
time,
fresh.
I think last time I saw any part of Avengers, I was actually at your house and you had it on as like background noise.
What else do you put on in your house when a
When the
bunch of
nerds
nerds
come
come
around.
over for dinner?
um, but yeah, like this next one's gonna be exciting. We're gonna
hmm
have Paul,
Guests.
the main man from Nerdy Up North, who does the Nerdy Up North podcast, and really does a lot of behind the scenes work that he never truly gets credit for, like including creating the visuals
Yeah.
and the video elements to this very thing that you're watching right now.
Any of the
Um,
graphic design digitally is all done by Paul.
yeah.
He does a fantastic. The blue that is in this is just breathtakingly
Yeah,
beautiful.
he's a northern grafter, as we say around here. He never quits. We're gonna have Lee back as well, since he was our first guest, and
You
it's
lucky people.
it's the Nerdy Avengers. We had to have a team up for this
We did,
episode.
and to be honest, this is my favorite. On the Sunday show, we have done together as
Yeah,
a
as a four.
ensemble, as
Yeah.
an assembly. Um, I'm really tired. We have done some excellent, amazing episodes together.
Yeah.
I always call us the core four because when we get together, we always do like
Mhm.
outlandishly brilliant movies.
And like the Avengers, we didn't set out to be that team makeup, but we fell into it and we ran with it, and
And
all
we
is
gained
good.
a league.
So yeah, hopefully everyone will have a super high energy next time,
Yeah,
as we get into the team up I always wanted to see ever since that first Iron Man, when I was like, I love Justice League, I love team ups. What's this Avengers thing? Hell yeah.
there's a god. Um, yeah, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. But what I've really enjoyed going back to the First Avenger and having a look at it with fresh eyes again,
Mhm,
and really appreciating like I love Steve.
mhm.
What I was going to plan on doing was bring out all my Steve Rogers mugs that I've got, line them up, and just drink water out of them, and but
Each
not
different
say
one.
anything and just be different. That was my plan, but then I got smoke in my eye, and I was like, "Shit, I'm running late. I'll scrap that. Hopefully, people forget it, and I'll do it for another time." Um, but yeah, I've really enjoyed going into Steve, and I hope you guys have too. Let us know in the comments if you're watching along and your thoughts and feelings on the Star Spangled Man with a
Mhm.
plan.
Yeah, because I know he's a divisive character. Not
He
everyone
is,
likes him. I
and
don't
I
even
get that.
think I don't even think Paul likes this
I don't
movie
think he
technically,
does. I
but it's
don't think he.
okay.
I think he likes it as an origin movie. I
Yeah.
just don't think he's a huge fan of
Yeah.
Cap. I think he sees him too much of a Boy Scout, and
Yep.
I get that. But you've really got to get to the heart and soul of Steve Rogers to be
Yeah.
like, I get you.
I like the goody goods though and stuff. I like Goku. I
hmm
like Luffy. I like an aspirational hero who's better than me. But
Better
yeah,
than you.
that's gonna be exciting. Avengers
Mm-hmm.
finally. But yeah, we've been Sammy and Jake on the Countdown to Doomsday. We'd love for you to join in along. And it's 2025 now, and I think we're gonna try and get on the promotion hype train a little more now that the new year's just about rolled in.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully, I mean, I can keep the momentum going that the one day that I've had.
you've been on fire.
I have a plan. I'm not joking. I literally am the woman with a plan. I
Yeah,
have everything listed down of when it needs to be released, what needs
yep.
to go out. But we really do want to get people involved with this watch along. If you need a watch along list, I'm sure Jake can accommodate that.
Share my
Um,
sacred timeline, I guess so.
well, that's if Marvel doesn't continue to ruin your sacred
It's
timeline.
it's fine. I've got contingencies. I've got
But
the
we can at
dossiers.
least do like a month. We could at least do like a month where we can show you what we're going to be doing in that month, so you can either get a
Yeah,
head start or watch along with us. We're out every 2 weeks, so there's plenty of time if you want
yeah.
to join along with us. And we really
That's a
do
good
want to.
idea.
Hmm.
Maybe I will make some videos along that line, along
Yeah,
that sort of thinking,
yeah,
future schedule stuff. But yeah, if anyone wants to invite us on their shows, feel free. Reach out to us in any form. We'll hit you up. And let's do this thing. Let's
yeah.
let's
Let's
let's let's go.
let's
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 fucking
get
go.
let's fucking go. I like it. I didn't get a chance to say that.
Should we change the catchphrase from make mine a Marvel to let's fucking
Fucking go.
go? I think we should.
I think we've missed a yeah, we've kind of gone back. Make my Marvels very old.
Also, they made fun of it in the Thor comic recently where they were talking about capitalism and all that. I was like,
Well,
poignant.
we'll go. Let's fucking go then.
Let's fucking go. Goodbye, everybody. We're gonna go for realsies.
For realsies. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.